Wise. We are an explicit podcast tackling content with adult themes as well as entering spoiler territory if you aren't caught up with us. This week, in Demon in White by Christopher Rocchio, we are reading Falling Off the Edge of the World through Island in the Sun.
And a word to the foolish, we are a completely clean podcast tackling content with children's themes, as well as entering no spoiler territory if you aren't caught up with us this week, which is through Jesus in the Bible.
Hey there, this is Cross.
I'm Josh.
And we are Words and Whiskey, a podcast for veteran and novice readers like. We tackle fiction novels. Love to talk about what we're drinking. You should think of us as your intoxicating weekly book club.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed we are. There was something that I wanted to say. Oh, you made the bit where you said that we were like little kids podcast. And, you know, it's really fun. This will happen. Here's like not a spoiler, but there is a little kids book of which is torn out of a Dark Tower book that Stephen King wrote for the Dark Tower. So we will read that, and boy, oh boy, if we won't do that for that episode now.
Incredible.
I hadn't thought about that, but I was like, we could do that for Charlie the Choo Choo, couldn't we?
Perfect, yeah. Or we can make sure Charlie the Choo Choo is the most explicit podcast we've done yet.
It very much could be for a variety of reasons, but we are not here to talk about that today. Obviously, today is our 8th episode, talking about Demon in White by Christopher Rocchio, Falling Off the Edge of the World through Island in the Sun, which is chapters 52 through 59 for those of you reading and only number having people at home. With that, Josh, what's the vibe check on this little section here?
Hip hip, you know.
Hip hip.
When you're on a holiday, you can't find the words to say.
Yeah. True.
Yep. No, it's a really cool section. There's a reveal. I'll tell you that much right now that I did not see coming. A reveal I would have thought was coming a book ago, 2 books ago. Gibson.
Oh yeah.
What else? We get a little history.
Oh, I do owe you a drink. For a bet from a while ago, you bet that the Mericanii were Americans.
But I feel like that's an easy one to grab. But yeah, you should probably take it.
Yeah, well, frankly, I think I even maybe mentioned this at the time, but I was like, well, I didn't latch onto that. Just a little sippy.
Heavily confirmed at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm just happy to hear that like Puerto Rico did get statehood before this all went down.
Kind of seems like that, huh? Because there's 52, and the number keeps getting referenced, so it seems like maybe D.C. and Puerto Rico got statehood, huh?
Either that or it was Greenland.
What if it was Venezuela for some reason?
Venezuela and Greenland, and we're like, oh no, he did it. The mad bastard actually did it.
Oh no, yeah. Yeah, the 52 idea is interesting at the very least from that perspective.
Which I think
we can.
If you were to look at this from the perspective of just anybody at any point in the past 50 years, I think it could be reasonable to assume that at some point in the future there would be 52 states based on how many active territories that should have statehood there were. But there's like a darker connotation now.
Right, very true. I mean, especially since there's so many interesting kind of angles there. We're not here to dissect the statehood argument for a lot of different reasons. But like, you know, you would have expected at least one of those to be a state by now.
Yeah. Exactly.
I can understand the rational arguments for DC not being a state, although representation's a little different.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I don't know.
If DC's not going to be a state, there shouldn't be people who live there, you know?
And that gets into like, right, all of the laws structuring DC and blah, blah, blah. But you know, at the very least, representation split between Maryland and Virginia.
Exactly. Yeah, you should maintain representation from like your home state or something. I digress.
Yeah, right. Digression aside, but it's an interesting section. There's a lot here. We get our little anime beach episode, which is fun.
That. Yep.
Yeah. I don't. Is that something you anticipated in these books ever?
You know, anticipated? No. Enjoyed? Thoroughly.
Right.
Yeah. I also, we get a lot of cool history, but we get like maybe one of my favorite parts. I feel like we get a lot of good Valka here. A lot of good insight into Valka. A lot of good Valka writing too, even if like not super frequent. Just it's a solid Valka section that I think fleshes Valka out well. Where in a lot of ways, much like their research, Hadrian is almost. We've talked about this in some other chapters and settings as well, but Hadrian's almost kind of off to the side in the section, and it's really Valka and Gibson are like the leads of this section in a lot of ways.
More and more. And it's really a character building section for all three of them, frankly, for Hadrian, for Gibson, Valka, but obviously the preference really being given to the latter two as they kind of reflect on their relationship with Hadrian, and Hadrian as sort of the mirror to which they both can peer into and view themselves from. So it's interesting. Yeah.
There was some stuff mentioned in it too that I'm super curious to hear about. Felsenburg. That's a fun little moment amongst other, like, a bunch of names we know, and then we move into this.
Overton, Felsenburg.
Yeah, exactly. Also, he mentions a new concept that I don't think we've heard from yet, the ship of Theseus. So that was really exciting and new and fresh. Right. But it's a good section.
Cool. Yeah, totally agreed. With that, I think we can kick it off because there's some shit to cover this week, frankly. Colchis, long ago, we start with falling off the edge of the world, of course. Colchis, long ago, the furthest planet from Earth, as well as kind of getting a backstory here that both Hadrian and Rocchio take a second to explain to us about Colchis itself, as it relates to Jason and the Argonauts. It itself is a moon that spins around a planet named Atlas, which is pretty neat. You know, this isn't actually a planet, it's technically a moon. It also contains at least less than a million people on its surface, so of course it's Hadrian's favorite. It's antisocial, it's got a big library on it. It's really technically a moon instead of a planet, so it's not even, it gets to be all dramatic and different, which is very Hadrian coded.
Yeah. And Jason and the Argonauts, that's like confirmation that this takes place in the Red Rising universe in the future of it, right? Because that's
sure.
That's Apollonius's favorite band, right?
Definitely.
Okay,
definitely.
cool.
Yeah, these overlap very directly. Yeah, so the Felsenburg is actually post Darrow after the fall of
right. That adds up. Yeah. Well, because we know that there's like a few hundred million that survive off world. So like there was definitely already a system and settlements within the. I'll say they kind of work. More and more, they kind of work.
But yeah, Colchis being interesting too, being the location of the Golden Fleece, obviously is sort of the reference to Jason and the Argonauts, and this idea of like, is Rocchio and Hadrian, are we kind of borrowing from that idea in the name of this planet too? Like, is this supposed to be some sort of golden land of information, for us in its own fleece?
Now, if you want to give any quick rundown of Jason and the Argonauts, I'm so surface level familiar.
I, comparatively to a lot of myths, am also more surface level familiar. The general idea of Jason and the Argonauts is like they go on a boat, they're searching for the Golden Fleece. They find the Golden Fleece. Is the journey actually worth it? They run into the Sirens. They come to Crete and meet Talos, which is sort of the, like, often in like a lot of like games referencing Greece and whatnot. He's sort of a big bronze man, and it is often used as sort of like a puzzle or riddle master in a lot of ways in different things. There's a lot of other questions there, but realistically, Jason and the Argonauts is probably one that I should frankly brush up on a little bit more, because I know less of that.
Okay, cool.
Comparatively.
Yeah. I still haven't seen the Odyssey, so
me neither. I was hoping to this last week, but it turns out because of because of being shipped out to New York, as we talked about on The Devil's Cut, I had to cancel my showing.
I wanted to see it in 70 millimeter, and then I ran out of money.
Yeah.
Because of Comic-Con.
Comic-Con. Yeah, that'll do it.
They comicked my ass.
There is a little bit about this too. I actually know more about Medea, frankly, which is a portion of the Argonaut story, than I do
like from Tyler
Jason. No.
Medea goes to prison? What is this?
Yeah, right, exactly. It's just it was a play that
I actually know nothing about Medea at all. But
we don't need to get into it now, because I know that we get into it later in the overall story of this, so we're good. Not immediately, but I know that in Sun Eater we'll talk about it. So
everybody, I want you to note this down. The first time ever Crossland was given the opportunity to talk about some mythology shit he knows, and just chose not to.
I got too much to say about the rest of this, frankly. But yeah, it's interesting there. Hadrian is at first denied entry, of course, as we approach the castle, which is fascinating. It reflects on his childhood and what he'd done to get here, finally to Ascolius Library, and gives us an even more esoteric thought about the history of dragon slayers and spilling the stars across the skies as they killed dragons. Another myth that we get mentioned here, of course, is Marduk's slaying of Tiamat, right? Which is, I think, Babylonian. And that's like a great little thing. I think that, honestly, part of the reason that I really like this section, part of the reason that I don't even feel the need to go into some of this is because he does a pretty good job of explaining the references more immediately in the text, right? He's like, well, the reason that this is relevant is comparing the story of Hera and Hercules to this. I prefer this Dragon Slayer story to that one. So, I don't know. I think he kind of gets into some of those.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. He's interrupted in his thoughts, of course, by Falca, and they share their excitement of being out front of this library, their own care for each other before she drops the blanket and we fade to black, which is kind of a very dramatic moment.
Yeah. And I'm like, yo, you've written more. Why are you cutting now? The hell?
I do think that that was a really clever fade to black.
It's a really good scene.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But, or fade to black and then come back for a little bit. No.
Yeah, right. Right, wake up in the morning or something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, it was a perfect fade to black because it's cheeky, it's flirty, it's well done. You could almost feel like a good edit there, where like the blanket falling with the noise and it kind of like pushes the camera away. But,
it's a great little shot, great little scene. And again, this sort of begins and tees up our moments with Valka and Hadrian throughout the week of like this sort of excitement for what's to come in this library and like bringing her to somewhere that she actually wants to be. For once.
Yeah. Really quick side tangent. I know we have a lot to cover, but this just made me think of it because I mentioned the camera or whatever. I had a thought, and I'm curious your thoughts on it.
Mm-hmm.
From the book, he always says "dear reader," and in the audiobook he says "dear listener," which means that inherently there's already like a prerequisite for this kind of changing certain aspects of how the story is being told based on the medium that you're hearing it in. If this was adapted, do you think it would make the most sense to have Hadrian telling his story to Ascolius taking it down rather than writing himself, so that we could have those scenes cut away here to Colchis, where older Hadrian is actively monologuing rather than just sitting and writing with an overdub? I'll maybe like follow the House of Usher style,
Yeah, I kind of know where you're going. I'm just trying to think. I'm thinking through.
You know more about the story,
end
so
of
maybe
the story,
right?
Exactly. So that's part of my consideration here. As I'm
and now I put you in a position where you can't answer honestly without giving something away. Maybe
no. I think the reality is that I kind of can. I think that could work for a variety of reasons. I can't exactly get into why I think it would work.
Okay.
But I do think that it would work as a secondary vessel. However, I think you would still kind of be stuck. One of the unique things about the way that the story is told, both from a listener and a reader perspective so far, is like we get a very narrow view into the room, right? Into the cell number 113, as we learn later. And so we don't know much about what's in there, what it looks like, who is in there, or who is like wandering around him for a very long time. Now we kind of get a picture, right, of sort of other details. I would fear that
it would give away too much.
It might give away too much, but it could be a good eventual pullback reveal. I don't know if you've watched Bridgerton at all. Did you watch any of Bridgerton? Okay, There's a reveal within the first season that one of the characters in the whole show is the lady that is writing basically these letters, these gossip letters that are written over top like dubs, right? And so that pullback reveal works really well. The character voices don't match. Yeah.
Are you telling me that Bridgerton is just Regency Gossip Girl?
Yeah, kind of. That's why it's so popular, man.
Fuck, I gotta watch Bridgerton.
It's pretty good.
I love Gossip Girl. So.
Yeah.
Pin Badgley, you're always a slimy fuck.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's really fun. It works really well. And I think that does a similar thing. That pays off over the course of a single season, which is a little bit different.
Okay.
You would need to pay this off much slower and differently. So I think that at some point you could reveal that maybe this is in Empire of Silence or something like that. You could reveal that he's here, recording this in some capacity. But yeah, I think that would be a possible, but very intentional and very.
We'll come back to
You'd
this.
have to think through the implications
like in book 6.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Or 7.
Yeah, there are implications that you'd have to very carefully manage that Rockio very carefully manages, even through using the character lens.
Noted.
But it would be more difficult in video.
It would be difficult because of the implication.
Because of the implication. Yeah.
Right, because of the implication.
This is the dentist system we're talking about.
Exactly.
But yeah, interesting question, and I do think
Hadrian is kind of a golden god, so it makes sense.
He is kind of a golden god.
We're going to move away from the sunny stuff. Sorry. Oh my god, it's always sunny?
Sun-eater
in Philadelphia. It's always Sun-Eater in Philadelphia.
Glenn Howerton is now officially my fan cast for
Hadrian Marlowe.
If not Alistair. I don't know.
I think Hadrian, we just don't address that he looks old when he's young.
Yeah, right. What if Glenn Howerton was playing old Hadrian and he just you bitch,
like he's talking about the Iman, and he's like, you haven't thought of the smell.
Yeah. I don't want to go too far off before we finish it, or we talk about the rest of this first chapter. But did you watch Blackberry by chance?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
Glenn Howerton. So. It's totally fine. It was, not a much. It wasn't much spoken about, but it was very good. And it was sort of criticizing the tech biopics that kept coming out. That were
I do remember that.
People.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And Glenn Howerton played just the best character in that movie
Incredible.
entirely. It's so good, very funny.
I know it won't because they'll just do it while it's fun forever, for no other reason than they want to. But I kind of want Always Sunny to end because I just want them all to fly free. I know they already are to a degree, but they're all so talented. I just need to see them do so much more shit.
Yeah. I think that they're content with doing this forever and never being beholden to anyone else, though. But
I want Glenn Howerton to get his Walton Goggins year.
That's fair. And he's the one who could and would.
He could have a Goggins year. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, Charlie Day actually gets more roles than he does just from a pure.
I think Charlie Day gets the most roles at this point.
Yeah, he just keeps getting thrown stuff. I mean, it's crazy to think that Glenn Howerton is 50. So he's.
I know. Man,
AP Bio was also so good.
Yeah, and I liked Mythic Quest. That's not Glenn Howerton. That's Mac. But they have their other things. They all have their shows.
Yeah.
Sweet D's maybe aren't as much my vibe, but it's fine.
Very, very fair. Although she was in Hacks, and she's incredible.
Oh, Hacks is incredible. Yes.
Yeah,
I was just thinking of her like Bad Teacher meets Cop Show or whatever.
Yeah. It's I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's like
for some reason I thought she was
Castle.
Right. Yeah. Also, I don't know if you watched The Hunt, which Glenn Howerton is also in. Very funny. Written by Damon Lindelof, of whom wrote Lost and a lot of other things. Very good. Watchmen.
Did he finish writing it, or did he just kind of make some stuff up towards the end? Or
I mean, he kind of co-wrote it. So there's that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I love Lost, and I'm a Lost ending defender, but still, it's
me too.
It's not easy to defend. I do defend it. It's
I get the feeling. Money. I get the feeling that Howerton will probably branch out once his kids are fully, I think, out of the house. I bet, because he probably wants to be around. Just being on a TV show is pretty flexible. Doing one movie every couple of years. Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
I view it that way, maybe. But
all right, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. This was a big rant.
Anyway,
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
Cool. It's cool.
I derailed.
Well, we derailed on something serious, and then we went to something silly, which is
way less
average.
serious.
Yeah. So we do come from there to the library itself, and its presentation, at least in my mind, feels far more medieval than anything that we've seen in the series so far, outside of maybe Castle Marlowe itself, Devil's Rest, as it were. And we have this sort of haunting sort of image. We have this rocky cliffside. We have this graved hill that takes 2 hours to get up and down. as there's no way to take a car up, and they like prevent the technology from that entry. All of these different things make it
They
feel
also
very.
go up the hill with coconuts. Like
I was gonna say, it makes me feel like Monty
I saw
Python.
you said the Monty Python in there. All I could think of reading the scene was like, I felt in your general direction.
Exactly.
That's all I could.
Like,
I
the
thought
guard-
I was gonna bring that one here, and you already had it written down
the guard man peeks over like the cliff. I was like, I just
with the
imagined him
gauntlets.
looking-
Just
yeah,
that's all I could think of the whole time.
what brings you here? And then click clacks. Yeah, I'm not in your general direction. But especially for whatever reason, when he's like, all right, I'll see the ring or whatever, and he sends down the pneumatic tube, and he's like, that's not a letter. It's like very. It's very
I feel like
Python-coded.
there's a 0% chance Rocchio's not like a guy who grew up on Monty Python.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I do wonder if this was intentional a little, because there's not like
feels
any
like it is.
direct moment, but it just
No.
vibe of it, like the fact that me and you both thought of it, and we probably have very different like thoughts and histories of Monty Python, but like both grew up with it to some degree or another.
Mm-hmm. So
It
perfect.
shouldn't pop into both of our minds unless there was like some necromantic intention pushing us that
Yes.
direction.
Yeah, he was. Hadrian this whole time has been fetching a shrubbery, so it's
Yes.
just like every quest has been a shrubbery quest
Well,
up until this point.
And usually, whenever you cut major limbs or heads off of Hadrian, it's just a flesh wound.
It's true. It is just a flesh wound. Yeah, I do feel like this section in particular, this whole section that we're talking about, is littered with references in so many different ways. So I can't help but be like, that's got to be one.
It's
That's
gotta be
it.
one. Yeah, it's gotta be one. I feel it. I feel it deeply. I agree with you. And the pneumatic tube is fun because all I can picture is a bank tube.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. It's just
Like that's
And
out
you
of
gotta do the little,
Spaceballs.
it's got the little twist seal thing, and you got to twist it open. And Hadrian probably looked at it for a minute, like, "What the fuck am I doing here?"
Drops in them. So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ridiculous. Very fun. Vero then further explains the story and demands entry. The brother guarding the gates goes to go get the dean, and I just imagine him kind of like little like beep bopping away, and it takes a little bit. To whom Hadrian then explains that he's only allowed to discuss the matters that he's here for with the primate, to which he accepts and lets them in, considering the ring from the emperor and everything like that.
Is there like this is going to be a dumb question. You're like an English major type person who knows
Kind of, yeah.
words well. I'm someone who read a lot of books and decided that he likes sentences but don't really know much. Primate. I mostly know that as monkeys. Is this like a term that is common throughout history for someone of import, or is this just something that has become to mean something in this universe?
I think it's just something that's become to mean
Okay,
something in
cool.
this universe. Frankly, I find it strange as well. And now I'm like, maybe I should have looked this up in the dictionary ahead of time. Oh, it is. Okay. So definitions here for everyone wondering at home, which is great that we like naturally,
Hey,
I think,
if
just
I
assumed
wondered,
this.
Maybe you would have
Yeah.
wondered, So.
I mean, I had been wondering, and I was like,
the general you, the listener you,
oh,
but yeah.
I also had been wondering and just decided not to look it up and commit to the bit of it just being an ape in my head. The
Big
ape-related.
monkey.
Yeah.
It's just oh fuck, what's his name from Overwatch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Winston.
Winston, yeah, just Winston
yeah.
from Overwatch comes down.
Yeah, exactly.
He would be a scholiast.
A primate is a bishop who has precedence in a province, a group of provinces, or a nation, or the archaic terminology, which is what we'll give Rocchio here, is one first in authority or rank leader. And then comes the definition from primates, which is what we would assume from like apes and
Interesting.
things like
Okay.
that. Yeah. And that is
Yeah.
from Merriam-Webster.
Oh, I don't trust that one.
Well, fuck off. So I don't want to tell you there. Yeah.
Good to know. All right, I'm going to start using primate in places that it's going to make other people uncomfortable, but I'll be right.
Everyone's gonna be every time I learn like a dollar word, as Stephen King would call them, I'm like, it's dangerous that I know that now, because now I'm gonna
Right.
make someone else super uncomfortable by saying
Like-
something silly.
Next time someone at my job asks to speak to like the site supervisor, I'm going to bring her out and be like, here's the primate. And then I'm just going to stare. And she's going to be mad. The person who asked is going to be mad, and I'm going to be right.
And this is why we're all branded as weird kids, Josh, because we think that this is funny.
And then I'll
And
break out that hard copy of the dictionary. No, lick my fingers and I'll right to it.
I'm finding the page for you. You don't need AI. I have the book. Yeah.
And then everyone's going to have to not like me anymore, mostly less, but not be mad at me anymore.
Meanwhile, Finding Nemo is going on in the background.
Yeah, exactly. You know? The kids are still crying and the parents are still mad, but here we are. I'm still poor. They're still rich.
You had fun.
But I know what a primate is. And it's not just a monkey.
With that said, Golden Age. The defeat is real.
I would never dare to imagine what merch should be, but I know what a primate is, and it's not just a monkey. It's pretty
good.
Shirt.
It's pretty good. I recently this is maybe a thing that no one else is going to care about, especially in the context of wanting to talk about the rest of these chapters. But recently I've been investigating other sources and distributors for merch as a way to refactor our inventory and things like that. And I think I landed on Fourth Wall, which is a pretty great little project. They generally use Comfort Colors shirts and other things like that.
Incredible.
Like great sourcing, very reasonable pricing comparatively to a lot of other things that exist, and like not cheap stuff, which is great. So good combination of the two things going on.
Yeah.
So that will probably be coming, I'm going to just say, in a month to give us time to do other designs and shit like that. So
Incredible. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, this can be in the episode or not. I don't give a shit. If you want to discuss designy type stuff at any point, I'm not a designer, but I have like some general maybe thoughts and ideas. So you tell me.
Yeah, totally.
I've been very just co-host because I've been busy as fuck. But I'd like to.
Yeah, so have I. So like I haven't had like any time to like sit down and like do anything. Yeah. For instance, as mentioned previously to you at the very least, I go to the Words and Whiskey website to like check our schedule and things like that.
Same.
And the last time I went, I stared and I was like, the primary logo still says PJK on the website.
Yeah.
Should probably get that fixed.
That's okay. It stands for Primate Josh Killer.
That was good. That was good. Yeah, we'll take that one.
Thanks,
that said, we can go on to the Golden Age.
Yep.
We then come to the primate of Nov Belgar.
Primate Josh Killer.
Yeah. Primate Josh Killer at your service. It's actually General Primate Josh Killer at your service.
Sir Primate Josh Killer. Sir.
Sir
with an E.
Primate of the Nov Belgar Athenaeum, an imperial library, by the way, what a title. Tor Arian, who interrogates the why of Hadrian's mission here, and he's not pleased by the fact that he has come seeking the Mericanii, as his experience on Vergosus has led Hadrian to believe so, that like this is necessary. They even get into a bit of physics as the sort of impossibility of the Mericanii going very far into the universe to communicate in the way that Hadrian believes that it could have been done, given all of this, and the unlikely connection that Hadrian is looking for. I love a lot about this section for a lot of reasons. Anything to talk about with Arian first here before I mention some of the other details?
I'm going to be so real here. I do. This book has made me stop to appreciate the physics when they happen, but I know nor care enough about physics to ever be that excited or interested whenever we get into these moments. I like them because I'm like, some science nerd out there is going to say like hell yeah. Mm-hmm. But like, it does nothing for me, really. I've never read a sci-fi novel and been like, that's not how it works.
Sure, yeah.
So,
very fair.
Again, I am much more of a fantasy boy. The suspension of my disbelief is as long as the disbelief carries me through the story in a way that doesn't contradict itself. I don't give a shit when Star-Lord takes his helmet off in space. I'm like, he's half God. Why not? So I've never had an issue with the science not quite being real in any sci-fi I have ever read. I can't think of a single time when I'm like, that's not how that works. It ruins it for me. But I've known many a nerd, many a good friend who is a deeper nerd than I, who seriously get caught up on that shit. So whenever I see this, it's like seeing your buddy with no game kiss someone at a party. You didn't kiss anybody, but you're like, oh fuck yeah, go dude. I love that for you. You know,
Yeah.
like I get that feeling whenever I read these sections from like, this part's not for me. I appreciate that it's there. Good job. Someone's really going to appreciate this. Someone who doesn't get to appreciate these things often. You're finally getting laid, my guy. You know, like that's what it feels like.
Very fair. To me, I think that this thing in particular, and it's just like the smallest bit of astrophysics, basically all that he's saying is like, here's the circle of where they could have gone. And I compare this very similarly to like a runaway horse carriage or something like
100%.
that. Except for on like a space
and I
scale,
did
right?
follow the science, and I got what they were saying, and I think it worked within the story. But like for me, like you could have cut this whole section; it wouldn't have changed anything for me. But I know that it meant something to someone.
Yeah,
and that's
I think it just meant that like, well, the Mericanii couldn't have gone that far. We're further out than they ever could have gone. We can't scrape all of known space, but like, you know,
and my brain's over here like aliens from the future are talking to robots from the past who've seen the future and they've seen the past and they saw each other in the middle. Don't tell me what they can and can't do.
Well, and I think that's sort of Hadrian's point of view on with Aryan in general is like, okay, buddy, like you get it, but you don't quite fully get it.
Sorry, I'm doing finger guns off camera because my wife just walked back in. All right, cool. Finger guns done.
Cool, finger guns completed.
I'm just waiting for her to acknowledge me, and then I'll jump back in. Dear listener,
your wife ignores you.
Sometimes your wife ignores you. You shoot
when you're in the living room.
A ton of finger guns towards her whenever she walks in. You try and be cute. You do everything you can. You try and be as cute as possible. And she goes and she plays pool on her own while you're podcasting, which is fine. She's trying to get better at pool. Sometimes people are trying to get better at billiards, you know? But then sometimes they walk back in the door and they just ignore you while you shoot finger guns at them. They don't even acknowledge you. They don't even shoot finger guns back. Oh, hi. I've been shooting finger guns at you, waiting for an acknowledgement. All right, I got them back. We're good. We can continue. Turns out she had AirPods in.
Well, that makes sense as to why she didn't hear the rant.
Yeah. Now, my nothing playing heard the whole thing. But
oh man, a couple of things that I love about this. A little quote. There were a lot of simple quotes I think this week that go a long way to describe things. This also is some of Rocchio's best description work this week. I think from like the castle perspective, the beautiful picture that he paints of the planet with like the umber and everything else. Gorgeous.
I mean, it's not until much later, but there's even moments where like he puts descriptions in there without ever getting very descriptive that imply to you and fully tell you and let you picture the idea that light works different here because there's multiple different reflection points for multiple different moons in the planet's face and everything. Like, it's so cool to know, like, oh, this like can picture like the weird different hues of light coming through different types of atmosphere with different sources of light causing different types of shadows than what we're used to naturally here on Earth. And that's really fun.
And that would be very confusing, you know, in a way, in my mind, you know, like that's super interesting. Yeah.
It's like in order to film it properly, you'd have to break so many rules.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You'd have to have like weird light sources that are truly like almost reflecting into the camera in some ways.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I love this little quote. Very simple to your point, right? Everything from the worn bookshelves to the scrolls in their honeycombed niches to the weathered stone walls themselves ached with age. Like, what a just simple ached with age, like just a simple little line to like really give you a sense of I mean, obviously the age of the place, but like the sort of wearing and weathered nature and like how carefully cared for and curated this place is.
And like aching, like to me is like it invokes painful, it invokes like fragile. It's, you know?
Yeah.
And so like you certainly get the fragility of that, but also aching to me like invokes like that creaking, that shifting, that like slow twist of the place that's actually holding the books, you know? Like everything about it just feels so old in a way that like he could have been like, it's real old, but this like really evokes
thousands
that
of years
in like such a feeling kind of a way where like he could have talked to me about how old it is or explained it and told me what color it was and the fading or like the cracks on the wall, and it never would have evoked how old it is more than just like that sentence.
Ached with age. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an interesting note as well. How does Arian have his daughter, Ekaterin, here as well? Why? We know that, like, as even Tor Arian explains to us, a lot of the people that end up in charge of the Athenaeums variously in the libraries end up being
princes.
Frustrated princes, yeah. And is this probably a cousin, maybe, of the current emperor or otherwise? So, but has a daughter here as well. Interesting.
Which we don't dive too much into it, but it almost feels very mirroring, like, Hadrian's own life. Like, Hadrian almost ended up here as a frustrated prince of sorts. You know? And, like, I don't think he really, like, draws that parallel much, but, like, because he wanted to be here. But in a lot of ways, like, he romanticized it because of his mentor. But it's
for someone, this is probably no different than a chantry appointment.
I was going to say, if this was Game of Thrones, this is taking the black, you know, like in so many ways. This is swearing to a life of like celibacy and books. That's like genuine hell to most people. That's half heaven, half hell to me. You know, love celibacy. I just hate reading.
Hate books.
But yeah, it's like, it's interesting that he doesn't really dive into that or like make that connection on his own. But I think we as a reader are meant to a degree, that he was a frustrated prince in a smaller kingdom that almost ended up here because of that in the same way.
Yeah, and I think we even get that comparison a little bit later too. You know, I think that this is one of those sections where there is sort of layers on layers. I mentioned last week to you, and I made it way more dramatic than it needed to be, but I was like, I think you're going to want to reread this next week. I don't know that if you had time or not, whatever. That's
I didn't make it all the way back through, but I made it through this section twice and pretty much up to the beach episode twice. So
yeah, but I was like, but realistically, I drew the comparison because I was like, maybe like flirting with like a ho-ho brethren kind of moment coming up that you might want to pay attention to. But instead, it's like just the writing of this section, I think, is just very deep and brilliant in a way that like the rest of this book has been great for completely different reasons, which is so crazy because this is like Demon in White is like the perfect version of Empire of Silence in a lot of ways. It's everything that he kind of like dreamed of doing there, but with all the execution muscles built and firing at 100%. Because this book has been a mission of side quests so far in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
and this is
really
the side questiest of side quests. Yeah.
It is interesting. It does feel like Howling Dark was the promise that there is actually a story here. And then this is like a return to form in a lot of ways, but like also it feels in some ways more direct than Howling Dark. Like Howling Dark was one long side quest. This is the main quest with a lot of side quests to get there. I don't know.
To get there, yeah. We have to build the staircase, the ladder to like get to where we're going.
Yeah, it's interesting because it does feel like it progresses the main story almost more than Howling Dark in my mind. But like, but it is more side questy, and it has that. Every time he's like, "Yeah, we were in this room for a year, and then 2." I'm like, "Oh my god, y'all are just spending years like fucking candy. That's crazy." And that has that. I mean, obviously, Howling Dark does that to a degree as well, which is just like kind of a core piece of the story. But Empire of Silence definitely had that, and this almost has that as well. But this also is like the anti-Empire as well, in the sense that any character you met in Empire of Silence would be in their scene and then be gone for forever. And this is the first fucking time we ever had one come back.
Yeah, true. Yeah, big deal. Yeah, so I really love this book for a lot of reasons. This is part of it. It is all of the promise, but with characters and everything else kind of behind us too at this point. So there's camaraderie and kind of like everything else that you'd want of a story. It goes to show as well, I don't know if you've tried this in your own writing. Writing lone wolf stories is fucking tough to keep them entertaining for a lot of reasons. And this is such a good example as to why. Because, like, if you don't have a cast of characters behind you that are consistent or that feel good, like, really good, you have to make that main character so fucking compelling beyond an ounce of belief. Like, he has to be the guy. And then that can be unbelievable in its own right. And so this story had to strike that balance. And finally, after the build of Howling Dark and adding some of those characters in, now we're here on the other side with a nice, juicy story steak. Here you go. Mr. Josh.
Well, I mean, you asked about my own writing, and this is a perfect time for me to just talk about the fact that I'm writing again a little bit more. And it's been a little while. But yeah, the current story that I'm working on, that I've been working on for like years, we'll see if it ever goes anywhere. It's 4 POVs. One of them is a lone wolf, and it's supposed to be the main character. And god damn, is that not fun or easy to write in an interesting way that actually like adds to the story or the other characters' lives. I'm writing it as just 4 individual stories that I will then intersperse throughout each other, because I want each story to be able to be like that. Each character should feel like they could be the main character. Like each one could just have their own full story arc. But the main character, very much so like a lone wolf by choice, forced into like a team setting.
Right.
Main villain, not main villain, but closest villain to the story is another POV. Team player forced into a lone wolf situation. And so I'm writing 2 lone wolves that are at odds with each other, but one that like wants to be a team player because she like doesn't know how to make moral decisions on her own and becomes a major villain. And then one that chooses to be a lone wolf and then is forced into team situations because, you know, grows out of it. Yeah, it's interesting. But it's really hard
just
to
a
write
very
lone
different
wolves.
beat. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
that was a big tangent on that one thing you said, but just it's something I've been like banging my head against the wall over for like 6 months now.
Well, and I think it makes it difficult to write entertaining stories in that way too, in a lot of ways. And I think that that's part of the sort of deal with Empire of Silence, is to like get you to care about it. He like really had to dig us in specific and interesting directions, which also meant veering so far off sometimes that it kind of lost its way. But there are other stories that, you know, we could definitely talk about in that reference. To get back to this here, I did want to bring up one other mythological reference.
They're mostly in the
Omega
Omegaverse, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, of course, yeah. Mate is great. Allie Hazelwood, if anyone wants to read that. You can listen to me actually talk about it. I did read Mate by Allie Hazelwood.
Are you throwing
which is
in
an
a bunch of
book
Omegaverse
from over on Books and Baddies, the sister podcast. I read that book at the request and had a mostly good time.
Hey, I tell you right now, I have not started the book you told me to read for that, but I actually am very excited.
Yeah, no, it's, well, we went on a little recording hiatus for a child that was born over on the other podcast for a variety of reasons. So, well, the child was born because co-host was pregnant. One of the hosts was pregnant.
The child was born because of the books the co-host
not
reads,
for,
but yeah,
yes.
for sure.
Yeah, right. Anyway, I'm done talking about that. I want to mention the one other like weird mythological reference that kind of comes out in this section a little bit, which is Is, which is spelled Y-S. Had you ever heard of this before when it was referenced?
No.
Is. So I hadn't either, and even in my first listen, I didn't catch it because, again, I think I was playing, not Elden Ring, Horizon Zero Dawn when I was like listening to this book, which is excellent.
Barely imagine being able to comprehend a book while playing Elden Ring. I couldn't do it Horizon Zero Dawn. People love to talk about how hard Souls games are. I legitimately believe Horizon games are harder just because my brain doesn't work like that.
Interesting. We'll unpack that at a different time because I'm so fascinated.
One's about remembering timing. One is about remembering how shit works. I can remember timing all day.
Horrendously easy. I had to kick that game's difficulty up because I was like, I was cruising through it too fast and I was having too much fun.
It's so
like,
non-intuitive to me. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to press ever. With Souls games, it's just like, see that guy? Go fuck him up. All right, this is how fast he swings. Now I know when to roll.
in RPGs, also, my whole life I've mained like an archer class, like a ranger style class. So like, it's a perfect game for my like Skyrim play style. Like it just fits the way that I know how to play.
I'm a sneaky archer for Skyrim and mini games as well. So maybe I wasn't doing sneaky archer. Maybe I got to get in there like that.
The melee is super counterintuitive in that game, in my opinion, which I think is intentional to make you not do it that often. But
gotcha.
Except for out of absolute necessity. But yeah.
What if
anyway, I
play it like a Souls game? Pure strength, all vigor. What if I just go punch the tower robots?
You will die many times.
Oh, that's probably what happened. All right. Sorry.
Is, though, is very, very interesting. And I had not learned anything about it. It's a city in Breton, which is sort of the like Celtic region of France. It was originally a part of kind of like Britain in general, is sort of this idea. But is ultimately a French city. For a long time was under the control, blah, blah, blah. City that was mythical and drowned. And so sort of like a considered like a lost city by a lot of regards, which is why it's then immediately compared to Camelot, which is something we're aware of by comparison.
Is Ys Atlantis? Did we find it? We found
No.
it, Crossland,
No.
we found it. Ooh,
Well, if you
buddy, we done it. Write the news.
If you want to very briefly get into it, like there's some interesting things of like Is is a great example of like maybe a reiteration of like the idea of Doggerland, which existed for a while. Doggerland was a bay or like was a region between the United Kingdom, France, and if you look it up, it's basically a pretty large geographic area that flooded. I think it was like a long time ago, not that long ago, 12,000 BC. Yeah,
look at that.
And it basically completely vanished as a part of that. But it was this large area, basically, that like is perhaps an inspiration mythologically for the idea. Unclear. Doggerland, Doggerbank are sort of the two different areas that are often talked about. But yeah. So Is to me feels reminiscent of Doggerland, feels reminiscent of Atlantis. So.
All right.
But Is is one that I hadn't heard of. So I was interested in that little bit of research.
That or Doggerland, so.
Yeah. It's cool. It's neat. Highly recommend. Looking up a little bit of stuff there. I don't have a whole lot to add because, again, I pulled this out kind of last minute by comparison. Would love to do a little bit more research, and maybe I'll come back in a future episode and talk about it more. But I was blissfully unaware, and so don't want to just talk out of my ass.
Perfect. That's all I do. So,
well, with some of the history stuff, I try not to be wrong, and especially with like myths and stuff like that, because I think myths are really interesting, and I don't want to perpetuate the wrong version of a myth. Maybe makes it more mythical and interesting in some way.
I heard Hercules' best friend was Danny DeVito.
He was in the stage play musical. He was not a satyr. He was just a dude.
Just a guy.
Just a fucking guy. Yeah.
Probably played by Dan Folger.
He would have been. Actually, my brother and I looked at each other, and 2 seconds after, we were sitting right next to each other watching this performance, and we were like, I leaned over and I went, Lou Wilson should play him if he comes to America.
Oh my God, yes.
And it would have been perfect. That was the perfect recasting.
Wait, Lou Wilson is, fuck, what's his name? The satyr. Phil.
Yeah.
Lou Wilson is Phil.
Incredible.
Write it down. Ship it out. Make him a centaur instead of a satyr, actually. Let Lou Wilson have a long flowing mane.
A glorious long flowing mane.
Yeah.
That said, Arian explains that this request is incredibly odd and that Hadrian cannot enter with just a ring, and that they in fact need more to do so in order to enter Gabriel's archive, which would be the only thing that might hold said information that he's looking for, as it holds Mericanii artifacts. Hadrian storms out saying that he's going to tell Dad and get access from the Emperor.
You'll hear from my papa.
Yeah.
Daddy, make them let me go in.
Basically.
Yeah. No, but honestly, he is like, hey, the Emperor sent me with his fucking ring. You know you're being dumb, right?
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, I'm about to get in.
We do understand the sort of rationale as to why it's so crazy as a part of this.
And I think we know a little bit more of that later, like which we already generally could have assumed, but
yeah.
Actually going to like Gabriel's archives, you're like, oh, that's why they're so fucking weird about this. But
yeah, they're a little crazy about it for a lot of reasons. That makes sense. There is also a note here, and we get mentions of this a couple of times throughout, and I don't think we have before, but of a pretender. Yeah. And sort of like in relation to Gabriel and maybe like a pretender's uprising or someone else trying to take the throne. Very House of the Dragon-ish in some ways.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I like barely clocked that, honestly. So good to know that you called it out.
It's only mentioned like 4 times. It's fine. Yeah.
I mean, they definitely talk about it, but it's with so much stuff.
Yeah. That's fair.
Whenever I say I barely clocked it, like I did clock it, but like I was like,
there's a lot of shit this week for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Varro does tell Hadrian, though, that he will message the Emperor and makes a suggestion of letting the men ashore since they are going to be here for a while. but that perhaps we aren't going to be able to dump them all in one city. We'll have to find a different solution because they would take over literally the population of the planet if they did so.
Yeah. I do like that Hadrian's like, hey, let's maybe not just unleash all of the soldiers.
Yeah, probably not a good idea. You know, like
Yeah.
we're already, even doing it in pace, we're probably still going to have a bunch of people that are leaving Bastard Childs
And they
around.
do. And that's
And they
specifically
do.
referenced.
Yep, multiple times.
Hadrian's like, let's not swell the population of this planet too much, you know?
Yeah, but like we know it's going to happen, but like we don't want it to happen,
Yeah.
you know, too much.
Let's do it. Let's do it with few enough people to where hopefully all the bastards were like joyous little gifts, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, more like that. More like that. Which is
Yeah.
how it's received in the end. But we'll talk
Yes,
about that
very
much
much so.
later. Yeah. It's a good little note, and it sets up our little island episode a little bit later here. We get more on the Citadel that is Nov Belgar, no doubt in part because old Hadrian is here and can just go out and look at it. Again, we get a lot more description throughout the section, I think because it's fresh in old Hadrian's mind and he can just walk outside and see it to some degree, which is an interesting note because like everything has a more immediate nature to it than some of his other descriptions do. Volk is pumped, of course, to be in the walls. Older Hadrian says that he doesn't recall all the details of those days as he's lost memories, but remembers the glow in her eyes as she's finally rewarded for suffering through all this war. They climb stairs and continue to peer through this incredibly vast library.
Now,
And there's
something
yeah.
you mentioned a little bit earlier. He can just walk out there and see it, and that's why these descriptions are maybe more vivid.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a spoiler, but it is something I've been considering a lot, thinking about where he lands. There's I don't know if it's ever like, I don't think it's ever explicitly said, but there's an implication that he's very much so a prisoner. But now with maybe I'm like reframing that to where it's only ever implied, but not necessarily said. Maybe he's not so much like imprisoned here, and he's not trapped in a little cell writing his little book, because he mentions in multiple places, if I'm not mistaken, here in the cell and then also down in like the grotto, like, oh, this is where I write these things. So like he's moving about these walls in the future. Like, and it does imply a more free, at least within this space, Hadrian than we're given to assume up to this point.
Yeah. I mean, even like, I think it was either earlier in this book or at the end of last book when he talks about going to repair the fences and takes time in the middle and kind of like breaks for a second. He's like, I'm sorry if this feels a little disjointed. I took a second to like go repair the fences. I was asked to, spent a couple of days, did this with them, and then came back.
Yeah.
So I think that in combination, it kind of implies what you're saying, which is that this isn't a direct imprisonment in the way that we've anticipated, perhaps.
Yeah, and also like that's given a very quaint, like medieval feeling. I went to go repair the fences. I don't actually know if he's repairing the fences or if he's repairing the water walls that hold out the ocean from flooding the. Like, I don't know what the fences are at this point. You know?
Yeah.
Like, did he go out to like hammer and nail in some mud, or did he go out to like oversee a construction project of like engineers?
Yeah, is he Tor Marlowe, you know?
Exactly. Or is he Primate Marlowe?
Right, yeah.
I don't know.
Great questions. We don't know at this point.
Yeah. But it does...
We do know where his story ends, but
I would
that
say
comes a little later.
It takes the idea that we know where this is going and kind of shifts it on its head, where it's like, I really don't know if you're a prisoner within these walls. Are you one of the artifacts they protect by the end of this? Or are you one of the person protecting the artifacts here? Does this story end with an artifact that needs protecting? Is it you? Are you the one doing the protect? Like, it's very much so like shuffles it out. We know it ends with a cairn, which is ominous. Don't like that, especially whenever he's specifically talking about Falca. But I don't know that it's her cairn. But wow, the timing of the chapter seems ominous.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah. Anyways, sorry. That's my thoughts. I lost track.
No,
but
yeah. I agree with you. I think that there's a lot here to kind of question from Hadrian's perspective of like what he's told us before about where we're at right now.
It opens
So.
up a lot of earlier assumptions, is all.
Yeah, definitely. The early, like the first two books and kind of what we thought of this place. And now that we're here, it's like, well, this isn't so bad. This is actually, you kind of like this place.
This
and
isn't
you
a
spent
prison.
5 years here at least.
And I assume you get different color ink if you asked. You just like writing in this. That's weird.
I do think it does seem like they only have vermilion because they're all scholiast and they only write in red, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I guess. It's because the Bible stuff, for sure.
For sure, that's it.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Bible stuff.
Well, he sees himself as Jesus, so everything he writes is in red.
This is fair. This is fair. Wait, is that a Bible thing? Is that a...
You don't know that? Oh, hey.
No, what?
Look at this. One little thing Joshy knows that Crossland doesn't.
Hit me with it.
In the Bible, traditionally, not necessarily every edition, but pretty much, goddamn near. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anytime Jesus speaks, it's written in red ink, printed in red ink across pretty much every single. If you go grab a Bible now, you'll probably pull it up. The entire Bible's written in black ink, like normal, but every single goddamn copy takes the extra time, effort, and money to print every actual spoken word by Jesus in red ink.
Okay.
Which
interesting.
I struggle not to make a connection with the vermilion ink, but
yeah. Yeah, I guess I was raised mostly like very young in Baptist church and then post that in Catholic church predominantly. And Catholics don't have Bibles. You've got like hymnals and prayer books and different things like that that rotate through different sections. So like it was never printed in other ink to that degree.
I was very in like the studious, I was very into, God damn it, oh no. You see, here's the thing. This IPA that I had that we'll talk about later, very strong.
It has taken Josh by the ass.
I was very interested in seminary theology. Why was that a hard word for me to find? I was very interested in theology, and I was very like into studying the Bible because I like fantasy novels, and I was like, this is kind of like that, but real. Then I was like, oh wait, no, it's more like that than I thought. Or, whatever you think it is fine too.
Yeah, no, it's good. Dear listener, it's fine. We can have different opinions.
Exactly. I also think I'm an idiot. So if you think I'm dumb, hey, good company.
so do we. Yeah.
So say we all.
We keep good company. Yes, so
exactly. But yeah, no. I was really into like heavily studying the Bible. And yeah, that's one of the things that I noticed across most printings of most editions. And granted, I'm sure there's some that aren't that, but it is traditionally the way it is. Anytime Jesus speaks, it's in red ink. Or
interesting.
Vermilion ink, if you will.
I didn't know that. Yeah. Interesting. That's an interesting parallel.
And it's only when he specifically speaks. So like that's why I'm like, I wonder if there's any connection.
Yeah, that is interesting from that perspective. It's also interesting to me because again, like in this case, Rockio and I share the like Catholic upbringing, in which that's not the case. So I wonder if that's something that he pulled from elsewhere or like other, or maybe it's the case within the like.
I still think it's the
Catholic.
It's within the reading. It's just maybe I don't know. It's hard to say.
It depends. Like it's very interesting, and obviously haven't been in a long time, so couldn't tell you. But as it goes.
I'm
that said,
look the thing up. Keep going.
Yeah. I wanted to read the quote here, which is the Bible quote, which is actually not just a Bible quote. It's a Hebrew Bible, Old Testament, whole here, so Torah and otherwise. Technically from the book of Ezra, if anyone's looking for this for some reason. But great is truth and mighty above all things, which is interesting as they both cite it here and otherwise that this is a quote that's translated from the Greeks. And so there's maybe some interesting mistranslation of the intent here, but we don't really know yet. Yeah.
Sorry, I got caught up in the fucking thing.
No, it's good. It's good. This quote isn't crazy. It's just like, oh, hey, by the way, this quote is standing over top of everything. And as such, it's important to maybe call it out that it's like we have a couple of references directly to the Museum Catholics this week, and I think one to ancient Christians, as it's said. And so for this to also be necessarily just a Christian quote, but a full Abrahamic religion quote, I think it's something to call out.
Definitely. I will say, you're also pretty right. It looks like it wasn't until 2002 that Catholic Bibles started printing the red ink.
Interesting. Yeah. I just from my perspective,
There were
we
some
never
before
had
that.
a Bible.
But it was okay. Yeah, fair
Like
enough.
that's really the bigger thing with Catholics is like they're so controlling. Well, like the book is basically like a publication that takes you through a season, a quarter of the year.
Right, of
And so
course,
each like day, like you flip to a certain set of pages and then like you're in church or whatever and you'd read the pages that were there and like you'd go through the pages because that would be the songs that you're going to sing and the things that the priest or the deacon is going to say and then whatever else. So you never had like a straight Bible. I never saw a straight Bible in a Catholic church outside of the couple of times that I literally read it off the pulpit when I was reading way back when I was like 14.
Well, yeah, because the Mericanii, I got to control that. Or not the
Right.
The Scholiast got to control that so we don't get another...
The chantry has to...
Yeah, you guys were the chantry.
Right. You know, yeah, to back off of this just a little bit from that
If
perspective.
anything, us Protestants, we're the Exosolarians because we out here making money, my guy. Cha-ching,
Well,
cha-ching,
again-
stacking them fucking stacks, you know?
I did mention that the other half of my upbringing was Baptist, so it's a little bit of a. I got a little bit of both going on. It's just I mostly remember the Catholic stuff for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But
all right, sorry.
yeah.
I got so distracted by that. That's my bad. I just...
I think it's good and important, and also an interesting thought that I hadn't considered at all with the text of this. So
Yeah.
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 A fun bonus note that gets tucked into this whole section: Scholiasts only have one true vice: coffee. Fucking coffee,
guy.
guys. My guy.
Hey.
I loved this little joke.
Me and the Scholiasts were pretty much the same. Their only vice is coffee. My only vice is coffee and alcohol and marijuana and psilocybin
Women.
and sex. And oh, sorry, well, we're not listing things. It's fine.
Yeah. Right.
And
shit.
comedy and having strong emotions, being angry, being sad, being horny, being happy, being confused.
Yeah, no, I think they've got like this whole thing called apatheia that takes care of the rest of that for them, but I don't know that it services them that well because even Gibson breaks.
Gibson be breaking all the time.
Yeah.
Gibson's like, we'll talk about it when we get there, but Gibson is like
Very
Ryan
soon,
Gosling
yeah.
hosting SNL. Breaks every chance he can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
Okay,
Old
sorry.
Hadrian does stop, though, just to kind of round out this chapter. Reflects on the door, which we've already talked about a little bit here. Number 113 tells the story of the cell that he's in now, how he saw it at that much younger age, and that now he sees what he sees now from that cell. He thinks back to those older days, the golden age of Earth, that this bust of Gibson hails from above him, and thinks that his Gibson had been someone before, leads to his further reflection on whether or not the Palatine nature of a person really matters, once again, with Volca as well.
Which we do get like a bit of an interesting call to later as well. This kind of theory. I really, really didn't expect Gibson to show up. And it should have been obvious with how much Gibson there was leading up to this. This is like whenever you put somebody that you haven't seen in like 2 seasons in the previously on.
Right. Yeah.
And I still was like, what? Fuck you, really? And then,
Wait, he's actually back? Yeah.
also, I think I mentioned this our last session, our last episode. They started like bringing back up like chimeras and shapeshifters and doppelgangers and shit. I spent this whole time being like, and then Gibson's face is gonna slop off and he's gonna stab Hadrian, like legitimately just where my head's been at. And then it didn't happen, at least in this section. And now my guard's a little down. I don't know. Is Gibson actually back? I guess maybe, because he seems to know some things only Gibson would know. But like, I'm so distrustful. We're gonna talk about it when we get there. But in hindsight, they really, really gave me the whole, hey, Gibson's coming back. Hey, by the way, remember Gibson?
Did you
Remember that
remember
guy?
Gibson? Yeah.
This is what he
Also,
looked like. He
like-
had a nostril slit, by the way. Gibson.
Also, I remember him with green eyes, but that's because that's where I see him in my visions. He has green eyes. He actually has gray eyes. That's my bad. As Hadrian says. Yeah. Original Gibson had gray eyes as well. He just remembers the green eyes from the visions from Howling Dog.
I was over here like, come here again. But
I saw the paranoia literally set in.
I'm like, on our drink break, I'm probably going to grab Empire of Silence and just check a few things. But
Yeah, totally fair.
yeah.
We do also see a bust of Christopher Marcus Gibson, of whom is the namesake for Gibson, the character, and one of Rocchio's real-life best friends, Dr. Christopher Marcus Gibson, who teaches Greek philosophy at Princeton. Real man, real human man. Also was in their wedding as a groomsman.
That's
I
awesome.
listened to their interview and conversation today from 6 years ago, which is about the publication time of this book, I think. Or was this the 2020? Yeah, no, right around the time of the publication of this book. So obviously like a big call out to him in this too, which I think is just great. But they did kind of get into some of the interesting philosophical tidbits in conversation.
That's so cool.
So
That's actually super fucking cool to write your good friend into a story as someone who will eventually be a historical figure. Like, wow. Also,
what am I? Go ahead.
Big kudos on your poker face, because way back in the day in the first book, I was like, is Gibson as a philosopher, not our Gibson, but the Gibson he's named for, a reference to Orville Gibson? And you were like, oh, I don't know, maybe, probably. Oh, I never considered that, and I believed you. I believed you every second of the way.
Yeah, no, I knew. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's an unfortunate nature with this, is that I've gotten pretty good at, like, because I know the reality, it's like, okay, wait, I have to construct a lie ahead of time, think about the notes, think it through. I've got a whole separate, this has been mentioned many times, but I take 2 sets of notes. I've got my notes that are just for me, haha, hee hee, to make sure that I'm keeping track of different things. And then I have our notes that are for us to share and discuss and use otherwise. And
then I have
those don't
my
always
notes.
overlap. And then you have your notes, which are the scrawlings of a madman.
How can I make Cross sad today?
Yeah. How make Gross suffer?
Of course I know of Jason and the Argonauts. I'll pretend I don't.
One of my favorite notes from the conversation that I listened to is that the whole reason that Rocchio got to be the way that he was is because in 5th grade, in like the way that he is and the way that Hadrian is in some ways, it's because in 5th grade, Christopher Marcus Gibson, again, the namesake, was like, he had been reading a lot of like heavier novels at a younger age. And he was like, you have to read Dante. And was like, he basically bullied Rocchio into reading Dante in 5th grade. And so he did. And like, that is definitely the path that he was set on as a part of that.
He probably beat Rocchio at kickball. And then Rocchio was all mad. And he was like, rage is blindness. And then he was like, the fuck are you talking about? And then he started crying. And he's like, grief is deep water. He's like, what the hell are you saying? I think that's what happened on the playground.
That's
in
what
5th grade.
Yeah. Gibson was responding to Rocchio, and Rocchio was like, what the fuck are you? Who are you?
I'm writing a book. I swear to God.
But a literal active professor, super cool.
Awesome.
Greek philosophy. Fun little bonus fact.
I gotta
Super
actually
cool.
read Dante at some point.
Yeah, it's a good one. I recently reread like half of it, and I definitely want to finish it.
I think it
Half of
intrigues me
Inferno.
more than diving back into other like early mythological classics that I
That's fair.
have or haven't read. There's a mix, but yeah.
The one that I've like skimmed through that I want to read is the Aeneid, because that's like the complete combination of Odyssey, Iliad, and otherwise
Oh yeah.
adapted. But
Oh, you could just
that's
watch
the one that I
Nolan's
the least
movie.
experience. Well, I'm going to, but the Aeneid is kind of all of it in one, with a lot of like, kind of jerking off other senators at the time actively to get political favors.
Got you.
So.
Or you could watch Brad Pitt's Troy. And
I
then Christopher
enjoy Brad Pitt's
Nolan's
Troy, unironically.
I like it. I don't know if I could say completely unironically. He is dressed like he shops at the store that sells incense at the mall. But for most of the movie,
Not fair. Yeah.
but it's fun in its own right. Whether it is a good historical or mythological or
Representation of
specifically-
reality. Yeah,
it's
right.
not a great epic. It's a good movie, if that makes sense. I think
Interesting.
whenever I think of a great, like the best epics in my mind are also not perfectly historically accurate.
Right.
But to me, the best, like, quote unquote historical epics, these are just my 2 favorites, and people can be mad at me if they want. It's Kingdom of Heaven and The Last Samurai. Those are my 2 favorites. Those
Very
are the
true.
2 best
I love
historical
them.
epics. Both of
A lot
those
of people fail to
movies-
recognize. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, both of those movies understand like scale and intensity and like human emotion, so much better than Troy.
Definitely true.
Yeah.
I just think Epic is often more about scale, but I guess it is more about character in some ways. I think that the reality is that, like, to me, the reason that I like Troy so much isn't Achilles, it's Hector. I love Hector's
Fair,
character.
yeah.
And,
Also,
and fucking
you know,
what's his name is acting his ass off as Hector.
I'm gonna be so embarrassed here if I'm thinking of the wrong movie. Sean Bean plays Odysseus in Troy, right?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds right.
Not like a lot, but is in there.
No, he's in there pretty substantially, and Eric Bana plays Hector.
Yeah.
Bana.
Hulk.
Yeah, Sean Bean plays Odysseus.
Yeah. Solid
Brennan-
points in that movie.
Brendan Gleeson plays Menelaus. Brian Cox plays Agamemnon. I mean, come on, man. It's mostly
Brian
a good
Cox
movie.
plays.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
did
man.
not realize that. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
No, it's
I
mostly a
rewatched-
good movie. It's
I
mostly a good movie.
rewatched it 2 years ago, and I was like, "This is way better than I remember it
Okay,
being, and way
admittedly,
worse in other ways,
I
and way worse
remembered-
in other ways."
I remember not liking it a lot, but like thinking it was pretty cool as like a teenager. And then I rewatched it on the plane to New York the last time I went.
Oh,
It's
so
not
like
a
a
great
year ago.
plane
Yeah.
movie.
yeah.
I probably would have liked it more under different settings.
Orlando
a little less
Bloom is
sober,
bad, but
a
that's
little
fine.
less miserable. Orlando Bloom, I don't think is a bad actor. Doesn't do good in that movie.
No
yeah.
good.
All right.
Yeah, continuing though, I did want to mention something because we're defending movies. Importantly, Kingdom of Heaven is one of the best epics ever. Definitely agreed. Don't need to belabor that point. Also, Christopher Rocchio agrees with you. I think it's his favorite movie of all time. It's a big influence on Sun Eater. You can see it throughout.
It's up there for sure. For me.
Yeah, so incredible. Last Samurai, I adore, and a lot of people inaccurately portray this as a very like whitewashing
It's
movie.
not
because
a
they
white
believe-
savior film. It's the
they
opposite.
believe it is literally the opposite. He's chronicling the real death of the real last samurai.
He is not. Tom
Yeah.
Cruise is not the last samurai. Tom Cruise
Yeah.
is some white guy who saw it happen. That's it.
Tell me you didn't watch the movie without telling me you didn't watch the movie. You know what I mean? Or like,
I
know the
swear to
story.
God, if anybody watches The Last Samurai with a stick out of their ass and a phone not in their hand, they'll come
Yeah.
away with the same fucking. It's
Yeah,
The Last
it's
Samurai.
incredible.
I don't know if I can say it's in my top 5, but it's certainly in my top 10. It is one of my favorite movies.
It's in my honorable mentions of like top 50, but I get it. I definitely understand it. And I love
Whenever
it.
I go back
more.
to rewatch The Last Samurai, I will go back every couple of years to try and de-influence myself off of it. I'm like, this can't be one
fair.
of your favorite movies. And I always
It's-
come away liking it a little bit more.
It's so good. To that point, though, I feel like it's just been displaced in my head by how good Shogun is, because that
Fair.
adaptation is incredible. You watched Shogun? Did you watch it?
You're going to hate me forever.
Did you not?
I
Did you not like it?
2 episodes and couldn't get into it.
What? Did you watch it? I assume you didn't watch it dubbed. Did you watch the... You got to try further than that, man. It's
I'll
so
try.
good. You're going to love it.
I think I just heard how good it was, and then whenever I watched it, it wasn't grabbing me, and it felt like every kind of... Okay, it was in a period of time when I was trying to get into Vikings, which I couldn't get into, and was
I
trying...
don't really like Vikings myself, so I understand.
Yeah, and then there was also like a lot of other shit going on, and all I wanted was a good fantasy show, and all that was there was like historical epics.
It's not a fantasy show for sure.
And it
but
was just like another overly heavy, serious historical epic with a main character I didn't really like. At
Man,
least in those
Blackthorn
first
gets
2
so good.
episodes.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
I will give it another shot, and I know I need to, and it keeps popping up as like, this show's so good, but like...
Yeah, that would be one, frankly, that I'd be willing to rewatch and do like a bonus episode series
Okay.
on. And we do like every 2 or 3 episodes, we do an episode of the show and talk about it because it's so good. Like, I love it.
I also
And if that
do...
would force you to watch it, that's great.
And I feel like at least in those first 2 episodes of watching Shogun, and this is going to be weird to say, but it felt more focused on the European character than I was expecting. And I
It
think
starts
that
that way
actually
for
threw
sure.
me. That's where like, and maybe that's the same argument of, hey, keep watching The Last Samurai. It's not about him. But like, I was expecting like a really cool like Japanese historical drama.
It mostly is.
And it was just so Polish, I think he is.
Portuguese, but yeah.
Portuguese,
He's,
that one,
he's
yeah.
actually English, but he speaks Portuguese and
Yeah,
English.
yeah.
But
And it was just,
yeah.
I don't know. I was like, it wasn't the show I thought I was going to watch. And so it was hard to get past that in the time that I tried to watch it. It's also, I watched, the one time I gave it a shot, hey, a little little pinpointed at Josh, probably the most depressed I've ever been. So we'll try again. I'm in a much better mental health place now. So this
That's
was
fair.
like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. No,
Yeah.
3 years ago at this point. Maybe 4? Jesus, how long ago did this show come out? Because it was the year it came out that I tried to watch it.
Yeah, we were definitely recording
Kana
Tales of Kana at that point.
time.
Yeah. This miniseries, not that one. I want the other one. Hang on. 2024. So 2
That
years
sounds
ago.
right. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
30 pounds heavier and 30% sadder.
I think it was January, February of 2024.
Yeah, I think that adds up. Anyways, big side tangent. I will watch Shogun. The Last Samurai, if you are a listener who remembers The Last Samurai kind of and thinks of it a certain way, rewatch it. Tell me you still think of it that way.
Give it another pass. Same with the Kingdom of Heaven. Watch the director's cut if you're unaware. And also,
100%
if you
the
appreciate
director's
this
cut.
book at all, the
Watch
Kingdom of Heaven is like a very direct inspiration.
The only reason I
especially
don't
for the
say
Emperor.
give Kingdom of Heaven another rewatch is I don't think people have negative opinions about Kingdom of Heaven. I just don't think that many people watched it for some reason.
Well, it's one of the most like flagrantly disliked Ridley Scott movies out there.
Is it? By
It's got one of the
fucking-
lowest.
Did
Yeah.
anybody else watch any of his other movies? Because they're not as good as the Kingdom of Heaven. But
Well, I mean, I would argue that some of the other movies are better, but the Kingdom of Heaven is incredible for a lot of reasons.
I think Ridley
do
Scott
think-
been missing since Kingdom of Heaven. I don't know what he
Oh,
pre-Kingdom
we're
of
not-
Heaven.
We cannot have
Yes.
that argument right now because you've not watched The Last Duel. There's no way. Although I'm a Ridley Scott stan. We cannot have this conversation right now.
All right.
We do need to continue in the podcast. But
I'll rewatch
I
The
love the
Last
opinion.
Duel. I watched it really drunk one night.
did you watch the
I don't
the
think
one
I
that,
loved
with
it.
Matt Damon and with?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's Rashomon in France. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I'll give it another shot.
Yeah, you may have just been too drunk for it, but I can
entirely
appreciate you not
possible.
liking it either. But I think that is his like underappreciated classic. Like I think that is in the same way that people disrespect Kingdom of Heaven. I think that like because of COVID, the Last Duel got none of the appreciation that it deserved. House of Gucci though, dog shit.
Dog shit.
movie.
Saw that in theaters.
Yeah. That Ridley Scott does one for us, the real people, and then does one for whatever the fuck else he wants to do. And sometimes those other movies are okay, and sometimes they are dog shit. And that's fine.
Yeah.
He's still like an 88-year-old director, still directing movies and pumping them out, which
Yeah.
is crazy. That
I'm
man
just
will
doing a
die
quick
on-
look. I did see Napoleon. I did not like it. It wasn't.
Did you watch the
terrible.
regular cut or the director's cut?
Regular cut.
The director's cut is significantly better,
Okay.
but
I thought that Robin Hood
Still not an incredible
was
movie.
dog shit.
it is a bad movie. Yep.
Yeah, I hated Gladiator 2, legitimately.
Disagree, but that's fine. I didn't hate it.
I
but it's
came
not
in
perfect.
wanting to like it, but also
Okay.
I don't have the same strong positive feelings other people do about Gladiator. So
Oh, okay. That makes more
um,
sense.
I find Gladiator to be a fine. I put Gladiator right there with like The Patriot. Like it's a fine action epic. It's not as
Well-
good as everyone makes it out to be.
Sure. Yeah.
House of Gucci, terrible.
Terrible. Awful. Worst movie I think of his, period.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, obviously Black
All
Hawk
the money in the
Down's
world, incredible. Prometheus, incredible. Alien Covenant, incredible. Exodus, Gods and Kings, mid, as mentioned before.
Not good.
Mid.
Yeah, mid
Mid.
for sure.
It's
Mid for
better than
sure.
you remember it being, and it's worse than you think it is for different reasons. The Martian, a miracle of a movie. An incredible fucking movie. Body of Lies, genius. American Gangster, genius. A Good Year, don't remember it. Matchstick Men, perfect. Black Hawk Down, perfect. Hannibal, okay, because it's compared naturally against fucking Red Dragon, which is bad. And what's the first movie in the Hannibal sequence?
Silence of the Lambs?
Silence of the Lambs, yeah. Red Dragon is the prequel, but like obviously the first movie to come out is, yeah. G.I. Jane, bad. White Squall, bad. It's crazy that he had a career, frankly.
It's wild.
Alien, Legend, Blade Runner, like it makes sense. Black Rain, Thelma and Louise. There were some bad ones in there in the beginning, but like the dude mostly hits, and
You're right.
when he hits,
you're right.
he like grand slams it often. I get Gladiator not being your thing to some
It's not
degree.
bad. Like I watch Gladiator and I'm like, I get why people love it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as much for me.
So sick. We're gonna move on from this because
All
otherwise
right,
we will never finish this week. Unlooked For is our next chapter here, our third chapter out of 8 for the week. So the men aren't allowed to be off the ship into the city of Ea, but there are other options out about and around, such as the Severast Islands, a group of fishing settlements. Alexander and Hadrian find Vulca scanning, and that Hadrian himself is an audiobook guy in his later age as well that he kind of admits to us. But the far more interesting thing here in my mind is the Vulca component, which is that she absorbs the information, takes it in, stores it, but doesn't know until she needs it much later to pick them apart and process it. This is really fascinating, especially about the how she works and also Alexander's reaction as they sort of discuss Vulca in an interesting way. And also, Alexander is here and still being a compelling and interesting character after maybe seeming like he was going to bitch out for a second.
Yeah.
So.
No, I like that Alexander's here. I enjoy him. I like Valka's whole this whole section about how Valka's brain works is really interesting and fun because it does kind of like put you in a position of trying to like imagine how that would work within your own mind. And it's kind of one of those things where like you can't imagine a color you've never seen. You know, like it's you can't like picture how it would be to think in a like preface different than how you think. Like it's imagining like a completely different like interface going on than like how our brain connects things.
Yeah, entirely. And it is more, I mean, like very naturally, I think about it, it's more computer driven, right? Like computers don't have context, they have information.
Yeah. Well, and it really
You
like
only
recontextualize how robotic Valka is for me.
Yeah, it really did. And we already kind of knew the like emotional thing from earlier, the way that she can shut things off and turn things on and react very differently. But this paints her as, I think, much stranger, but also makes their attraction more interesting in a lot of ways. Like, why... It also, to me, to some degree, like makes sense of Vulca's relationships as they happened before, because she compartmentalizes so well that like it is just that. Like I think a lot of people like naturally don't have that sort of the gene in which they can kind of take in like a ton of different information from a relationship, and otherwise like there are people whom of course are okay with that and can do that, and Vulca I think just naturally has compartmentalization built in. Of course. And Hadrian, and expected Hadrian to have that same thing because Palatines do that simultaneously, but I think it just kind of logically checks out in a different way for me. I don't know. This was something I was stumbling through in my own thoughts earlier, thinking about sort of like the history of the relationship between Valka and Hadrian.
Oh, 100%. And also, it reframes their relationship in their own history. I remember throughout the first book being like, I don't think Valka's into him, and it's just because she didn't turn on the into him button until she decided to.
Yeah, right now. Yeah.
Which is crazy. Right. But like, at the same time, like it does a weird thing where if you consider the Mericanii and the threat that they are, and the fact that like most of the universe, even whenever they see the Empire as barbarians or see the Chantry as like this dark evil force, all kind of agree Mericanii are bad. You know, like
right.
Nobody's like not saying that. They're just like iffy on like the control aspect that happens around
the degree.
Exactly. So they call Valka a witch because she has an implant in book 1. And you're like, that's so dumb. You guys
so
are just
crazy.
Limiting yourself to a wild degree. In book 2, you're like, oh, Valka can like control her emotions. That's cool. At this point, you're like, Valka not only can control her emotions, but maintains all information she sees, but doesn't think in the way that we do. That thinks more in data existing until it is accessed. And only has a little bit of control over where that access comes from. Doesn't sleep except for just the briefest amounts that are necessary for her to regenerate enough biologically to then continue. Her brain functions completely robotically. She controls her emotions based on the emotions that are expected of her. She's so much more of a Mericanii witch than we were led to believe. Like, and she's not, but like, I was like, oh, I kind of get it. Like, she is flirting with being an android. she's basically an android. Like, for all purposes and the way how she functions, she's just like an android with a human core, which is what Mericanii are, is androids processing their own like computing power through human organisms. So she's so much closer to being like a Mericanii demon than I realized.
Yeah, I think of her like in an interesting way now that we've got all of this other context, right? I can finally bring this up to some degree. To me, Volca reminds me most of Star Trek. She feels very Star Trek racy in a lot of ways. I don't know your experience with Star Trek. Did you watch any at all?
Middling to very casual.
Which would you say you know?
Next Generation is the only
decently?
one I really actually
perfect.
gave some.
So 7 of 9, right?
Okay.
Which is the Borgy drone lady,
Yeah.
of whom leaves, of course, with sort of the like round thing that goes around her face. Volca to me is just 7 of 9 in a lot of different ways, but like internalized, right? Like very similar.
Could
from a
definitely see that
perspective.
I'll just say within the context of the books, though, I think that witch is the best way to describe her.
Of course, yeah.
If you think about the Mericanii demons being demons, then one who like consorts with a fragment of the power of those demons.
Of a demon.
Being a witch. Like if a witch is one that like consorts with the devil.
Yeah.
But isn't the devil, but takes on some of their power and gives up a piece of themselves to it. If the devil's the machine,
it lines up from their definition.
And this whole scene made her like cooler to me. I liked her more. It's a great character moment, but like it really put into reference how androidish she is and how not wrong, I guess, the definition of witch is for her. Because it's an interesting section of a book. I've never seen something characterize and give us a deeper understanding of a character while also dehumanizing them to the same degree. Like, not that it dehumanizes her in like a negative way, but like it really shows us how separate from our understanding of humanity she is.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, it's definitely not downplaying, her as a person in any significant way, but it is like she's naturally very different. Yeah, I can't think of anything that's quite the same. I mean, like, even you think about, like, elves in Lord of the Rings as a comparison, and, like, Arwen giving up immortality in some way. It's like, that turns her into something else, but it's not quite the same. Like, she doesn't fully change from, like, an elf to a human. She's still elfish in ways. And obviously, like, the modifications of the Tavarosi stretch far beyond just giving up immortality and sort of the sacrifice therein. But I don't know. Man, weird. Fun.
Alexander doesn't like sand.
Alexander does not like sand, which is very Star Wars coded, very Anakin coded immediately.
Oh, I don't know his name. I haven't looked it up. The guy who plays the Targaryen Hightower that would be king.
Oh, Darian?
Darian? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my Alexander.
Okay.
He's just got that. Not naturally probably, but he's got that red hair. He's got that attitude. He's right there for me.
Yeah. It appears as though his name is Benjamin Evan Ainsworth.
Okay, Benjamin. Strap in. You got a role to play.
Hang on. He is 17 years old at present.
Which might actually put him at the perfect age in a couple of years to play the...
That's what I'm saying. I'm with you. First thing he was in was The Haunting of Bly Manor. He was in...
Was that him? Was he the little boy? Mm-hmm. Oh, fuck yeah. I love Bly Manor. I mean...
Also...
Unfortunately, Bly Manor is my least favorite of the Netflix Flanagan shows, but not because I disliked it, just because one of them has to be in last. And that's a hard decision.
Very hard ranking. He is also the guy who is playing Link in the Legend of Zelda movie.
No shit. I did not know that. I'm going to blow my wife's mind next time we watch House of the Dragon.
Just be like, that guy? That guy's Link.
Guy? You know he's Link? That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Very fun. Yeah, so interesting. I totally like it, actually. I think that he kind of lines up to me for Alexander. Yeah, he's only 17 right now, so I'd love to see him when he's like gotten a little bit taller, because he does feel a little short in my head.
What's wrong with being short, Cross? You can't be old and short?
They're
that what you're
supposed to be
telling me?
genetically perfect, Josh, and genetic perfection
You're selling
looks like
me
you're
I'm
taller
not
than you.
genetically perfect.
I'm not tall. I mean, I get that I'm taller than you, but I'm not tall. So like, I'm not either on that scale. So
I've been
it's fine.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and man, if I'd never
Oh, man.
related to a character so much.
There's
You're calling
no,
Pipsqueak.
yeah. I am always in a perpetual rewatch of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. So I feel you.
Perfect. It's my second time
Where,
ever.
where are you at right now? Second time ever.
First anime I ever watched was Death Note. Second one was Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood when I was like 19.
Where are you at in your second rewatch?
It is the promised day.
Wow.
They just woke up the army of kind of homunculus, kind of human things.
Yep.
With the one eye. They just started screaming. That's where we ended it.
Yikes. You're deep in it. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good show.
That is like my comfort show. I've mentioned this before. I don't think maybe I haven't said this on the podcast. I think that is my favorite story of all time, front to back. No
watching
question.
it, it's hard to argue.
All time. Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
I don't know.
it's wild watching it for the second time and being like, it's crazy how much the one time I watched this when I was a fucking teenager, like, influenced my taste in stories and the way I would like grade them, like what I compare them to. Like I frequently compare things back to, I'll see like a really great backstory to a magic system and compare it to like the dwarf in the flask.
Right. Yeah.
And it's
Almost
wild
immediately.
that this is only my second time watching it. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is where like my standard for like
Right.
myth building comes from. That's crazy.
Yeah, right. The entire idea of this magic system being derived from one little guy and sort of this like afterthought of the death coming through. Anyway, crazy lovely story. We do continue to share information with Alexander here, though. He didn't realize that Hadrian had faced Karn Sagara all those years ago. Freaks out a little bit, considering, as he is far more attached to the Chantry religion than Hadrian is, for sure.
Yeah.
It's not public knowledge, obviously. Karn and Vorgosis are not easily accessible knowledge.
Yeah, it's not easily accessible knowledge, but also like I feel like anyone would freak out a little, right?
Oh, for sure. For sure. This is a legend. Gibson even he doesn't freak out, but he's like, for real? Like,
Yeah, everybody's like, but like not Karn Sagara though.
not like the real one. Not like the guy. Yeah.
It's almost becoming like a fun, like recurring bit at this point. It's only been like 2 or 3 times now, but like but like Karn Sagara? Yeah.
The guy? Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a very fun scene. I didn't think like too deep in it other than just Alexander like I liked it from the perspective of Alexander wanted to like be the squire to Hadrian Marlowe because he had some like status and mythology to him, but he never like believed him being truly half mortal or meeting Karn Sagara or communing with the Mericanii. And this is that first moment where he's like, yeah, no, Karn Sagara, whatever I met as Mericanii.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it reshifts how Alexander sees Hadrian and probably reframes their relationship up to this point in his mind. Where, yeah, maybe he called me a brat, but that guy met Karn Sagara. That's
Legend.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it definitely like it's that moment where it's like I meet Keanu Reeves and then he calls me a bitch. And I'm like, that was weird. That seems out of context for Keanu Reeves. And then he remembers that time he was like actually stuck inside of a computer system that was using people as batteries. And I'm like, oh, that was real?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, call me whatever you want. Holy shit, you saved humanity.
You literally did everything that you possibly could. Yeah. I also think it's interesting to reflect. This is something that we get a little bit later. We finally get like a firm distance from the timeline of Earth and sort of ancient things that happened. We know that Karn Sagara is like roughly 15,000 years old, I believe. Right? I think that's the number that's given a couple times.
That's the
here.
number he gives here, yeah.
Yeah. And then like later on when we're confronting Gibson about like the distant history and why like Hadrian doesn't know certain things, 20,000 years. So fucking guy has been alive for 3/4 of human history, like active human history to some degree. That's crazy.
And it's interesting because we know that Carnsagar was alive shortly after the Mericanii rising.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. In human history at this point is traced to like what, about 10,000 years? Is that
Well, I think that they're talking about like recorded history to some degree.
cool.
So in my mind, I view that as like, I don't know if AD makes sense as like the turning point for this clock, or because of the American of it all, if it's closer to like, I mean, we see this a little bit later. We're going to talk about this way more when we get there, but like, there are only so many presidents, and it's not as though they continued forever. So like, who's Felsenburg? Like the 68th president or something like that?
Right.
So that's not thousands of years. That's hundreds of years after where we're at right now. So
yeah, I think we can assume we're at the start of the assume pretty much where we are.
Egypt is maybe the beginning of the time. So we say like 3000 BC.
Yeah, I was going to say 3,000 or 4,000 years back. So
yeah, we'll say that
6,000
like
if.
Yeah. The Mericanii revolution happens between 2500 and like, or maybe 2300 and
maybe like 2200.
Yeah. I don't know. Somewhere in that range though.
I think like maybe.
Well, maybe 2030. Yeah. It's like Rocky saw what was happening. It was like, that's actually kind of fucked up. And then like wrote a whole book about it.
Have written this.
He was like, I thought that I was being like prescient, but I didn't realize how fucking prescient I was being.
You gotta think, Rocky. Did you not understand you had the never-ending story situation going on? Like, can you please stop? Just put the pin down, my guy. Put the pin down.
Yeah, stop it.
Yeah.
That said, let's get to that point so that we can discuss it. This thought is interrupted by Sister Karina, who says that an archivist has been sent for Hadrian. We descend down then with Karina, down past coral and more that protects the books from the dampness of this deep grotto that to Hadrian rivals one of the 99 marvels, what do they call them? Wonders of the galaxy. Mm-hmm. And there, Hadrian finds none other than Gibson, which is a great moment for him to come back. We've obviously already pre-spoiled, re-spoiled, and we'll continue. Like we've already talked about this to some degree, but like what a great moment to see him crying as he like recognizes from a distance his best friend,
walking up to Gibson,
his father.
I didn't like. It took me a while through this scene to believe it, you know, which I'm sure it took Hadrian a while through the scene to believe it as well. But like, Rockio doesn't give us this that much.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone from the past come back, a good reunion, a happy moment, something good happening to Hadrian that Hadrian doesn't immediately reject because she's too hot. Like, it doesn't happen much, so it's just it feel good right now, even though it's so suspicious as fuck.
Feels real good right now. I love the quote that accompanies this in so many ways. Vast is the galaxy, and vaster still the cosmos. But vaster, greater, even than that, is the cosmos, the enemy of chaos, the order that stands above it all. 400 billion suns in our galaxy, trillions of worlds, 500 million of them settled by man. So small enough for a chance, for miracles unlooked for.
It's just 500 million worlds. You could run it into anybody.
Yeah. Anybody, anywhere, anytime.
It's like the Post Malone song, population 3 million, or population 10 million, how I see the same bitch, you know? That's
same.
Yeah. It's Hadrian out here. He's like, God, I keep running into these guys. The city's too small. LA. You know?
It's a good moment. It's a great moment. Yeah. And I love the idea of this sort of like structure through chaos. And the way that like I think that what Rockio does here is plays down the sort of infinitesimal nature of the universe, right? As we might think about it as like stretching out into the distance forever and like nothing matters because it stretches forever. Instead, he says, yes, it stretches forever, but to have a cosmos that does so also means that you come to familiar places and you come back to them because there's only so much that is ordered and that can be. So there are places in which you will naturally meet and things will happen. So I kind of like that reframing of the empty nothingness of space to some degree.
It's the empty nothingness, but it's also the like infinite possibility.
Yes, exactly. Simultaneously. Yeah. Love it. Cool. All right. Well, with that, we get into our final chapter of the week, the final chapter of the half.
Oh, we done? Oh shit! Nice. Good to see you.
Hee hee.
They meet, they talk.
Reunion.
Good night.
Good night. Hadrian is blown away considering 450 standard years had passed since he had last seen Gibson and had long assumed him dead. But Alistar was ever cruel and shipped Gibson freight to his final
Fucked up.
location. It's so funny. It's so funny. It's fucked up, but it's so funny.
Shipping him freight, like, I know that implies like a really big slow thing, but for some reason all I could think of is like if anybody watched Firefly, like all the cows on the ship and he's just in one of the crates next to it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'll get there when he gets there. I don't know. They're going to take side jobs all the way there.
Yeah, I imagine like Gibson literally on Dimitri's ship and like we drop we drop the guy. Yeah.
No.
There was a manifest for a Scoleus, so they couldn't lose him.
Yeah, like crashed in the water and they're like, oh, we got another Scoleus. And then they have to like take it to their like nearest packing store.
Yeah.
And they just kind of like slap the new label on there and send it out on the next ship until it gets there.
Exactly. It's kind of a fun thing. He's happy for Hadrian, but surprised at the outcome of his life so far, including this half-mortal business that's going on in the moment. This leads again to Hadrian feeling like a child in front of his older tutor and recounts all of the stories of his life that he's experienced, and absolutely all of them. He holds back nothing. We've seen Hadrian over the course of this novel hold back much different people at different times.
I don't think he's ever
the
fully
literal
said
fucking emperor. Yeah,
everything to everyone except maybe Valka, but even then, like, there might have been.
He mentions here that like he never talked to anyone about Cat. And this is the first time he ever talks to anyone about Cat. So that at the very least. Yeah, Gibson gets the full story. And Gibson apologizes for everything that happened to him in the intervening years, but they're both happy that he didn't end up a Cathar in the Chantry at the very least.
No. What?
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, what if seasons 1 through 3 take place with two separate Hadrians retelling the story? One is writing from the end of time.
One's lying. Yeah.
And one is telling Gibson the story, but you don't really realize it's two Hadrians, but you get more like you realize more about that throughout it as it's going.
That's kind of what I'm thinking about, like framing that could be fun, right? Like there are different versions of this that you could do and shoot that could be fun. And I can't talk about anything else connected to that, but I do like the idea maybe that this is a break point for that Hadrian to be telling that story.
Especially
and then maybe something else after.
Maybe not exact amount of words wise or amount of books wise, but this is a halfway point to the story. Like this is kind of a fun.
Yeah. I think in the adaptation of the series, this will be the half point of the story for the record, because I think Ashes and Kingdoms of Death realistically feel like one thing. Again, like if you combine those books, it's barely longer than Demon in White, but
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are smaller, aren't they? Huh.
They are. They're a little bit smaller. Huh. Demon in White, I think, is the second largest book in the series.
Looking at it now, yeah, it's only Shadows Upon Time that's bigger.
Yes.
That's crazy. I'm looking at Shadows. My books are out of order right now, so Shadows Upon Time and Empire of Silence are sitting next to each other. And Empire of Silence is chunky. And it looks
chunky.
It looks so small next to Shadows Upon Time.
It is very baby compared to Shadows Upon Time.
I'm afraid of that book. It's big.
Shadows Upon Time is 2 Empire of Silences.
That shit looks like Wind and Truth. You know?
It is. Literally, they use the same company to bind Shadows Upon Time.
That company needs to stop doing what they're doing. They need to start saying no to stuff.
And they're like, I don't know. This Rockio guy, he writes long books too. That's cool. We got one more customer. We got Brand Sanderson. We got Rock.
They show up every years. Got a business model, baby.
But they need 50,000 books.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, that said, I'm very excited for the rest of this. But to that point, like this story, I don't know, like it will be the halfway point in my imagination in the eventual adaptation, because I do think 4 and 5 are one book, 6 is book 5 then, and then book 7 is book 6. So like this is your halfway point in my mind if you're adapting it.
And if anything, book 1 is just interspersed throughout.
I hope that you understand within Demon in White that I'm not fully against the idea, but I do think that you could only intersperse it for so long.
I agree,
Because
but also,
yeah, I love the idea, but if you do it that way, then you like the format shift might alienate people and be like, oh God, we're only in the present now. We're not doing flashbacks. So
I think you could intersperse it maybe up to this halfway point.
yeah.
And then you'd have to get creative going forward, but I don't know what happens after this. So
yeah, it's fair. We'll talk about adaptation on the whole when we're done, for sure.
course, yeah.
About,
like 8 years from
14 months from now. Yeah.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah, it should be next fall, I think. Based on my math. That's about right. I think
right.
it is.
That
I think it's like
right.
September. Yeah. Anyway, speaking of Empire, he mentions Augustin Bourbon, Hadrian, of course, the Minister of War that he had killed, and Hadrian explains that he had killed him, of course, to Gibson after he tried to kill his own people, meaning Volca in this situation. They both agree that it doesn't matter, as he wanted to give him this life and not the one that he currently leads. Like, he wanted to give him instead the scoliest existence. Gibson says that Hadrian asks him to believe the impossible, and also replies that he doesn't doubt the tale, but doesn't understand it either, which still leads to sort of a misunderstanding between the two, as Hadrian is like, you don't believe, like, all people come down and tell you the truth. They've been with me. I'm not a liar, as this sort of goes.
He's like, yeah, no, I believe you're telling me what you think you're telling me, but also I don't get it.
Yeah, it's sort of a somber note to go out on for the whole chapter, right? As, he exclaims that this is beyond him and that perhaps he isn't the same boy that he met on Delos, but could anyone be to like Gibson's defense? Like, philosophically, that seems impossible. But it seems as though Hadrian pitches that he can meet Volca, the prince, and others tomorrow, and he is open to that idea, of course, with his son, in quotes.
Yeah, super cute. I like that he hits him with the disappointed, not angry with Augustin Bourbon. It does suck. Like, at the end of the day, it's such a huge punishment to Gibson where he did all of this to get Hadrian out of this type of life. But Hadrian even mentions, like, oh, it was for nothing. He's like, well, you're not a chanter, are you? And, like, I like that moment.
That's still a win.
Yeah.
Especially from Gibson.
Especially. And it really is a pretty big fucking win. Yeah. I do really like the line of, like, I believe you, the story, I just don't understand it. Because to me, it also reframes and it begs a question, like, Hadrian, do you understand your story? And Hadrian's like, I don't.
And you stopped to think about?
Yeah, so it doesn't make sense. Let's make it make sense, because right now I think you're accepting I don't understand any of this. It doesn't make sense, but maybe there's simpler answers that regard you not having the right perception of the story you're telling, or lies being told to you by these creatures. Like, there's something here. There's a thread to be pulled. Your story, I don't understand it. How do we make it make sense, And I do really like this kind of, like, moment of minds meeting, because so far Hadrian's been like, Hadrian and Valka, really, and, like, sure, Aristides to a degree, and there's, like, different people that pop in and out, but it's really been, like, Hadrian unraveling this mystery and everyone else just kind of following along. So it's good to see someone give him resistance, but in a positive way. That's like, no, we're going to solve this. You have to think about it a different way. And
interrogate what's happening. Like,
exactly.
Take a second and try to fucking, like, deconstruct what's happening to you. This is nuts. You should think that it's nuts.
Yeah, you can't just accept that it's okay and that everything else was different and then now you have a new perception. It's nuts.
Right.
So now we got to figure out the nuts.
Yeah. So I think that's part of the reason that Gibson leans in this back half here that we're going to talk about in a minute. But
very excited.
It's a great little reunion.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true. We are drinking now. Josh, what are you drinking? What have you been drinking?
All right. What I've been drinking, my front half beer, which is also my second half beer. I'm only going to do half of it. My wife's going to drink the other half because it's a hefty boy. I hope that woo makes it in.
I hope that got picked up. Yeah, that was so
good. This is the Shipwrecked Double IPA by Mission Brewing out of San Diego. And it's just a cute little pirate on the cover. And there's a lot of mention as a Carn Sagara in the section. So I figured, let's get the Pirate King in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get him in there. What's your cocktail? I'm really intrigued.
Obviously. I don't. Okay, so I have a cocktail I want to make, that I will make, that involves, like, I got to go to, like, the Asian market to get some stuff. I need like real miso paste. I need some gochujang. Like I need some stuff.
Some stuff. Yeah.
This is not that.
Sure.
But I did make like chicken katsu cutlass situation for dinner. And so I had to make some eel sauce for that. Made some homemade eel sauce, which is just soy sauce, mirin or rice wine vinegar, and sugar reduced. With you do like a roux first, so it's a little bit thick. Anyways, and I went by Bevmo because I was 100% out of alcohol. Hadn't bought any in a little bit. I was like, all right, got to restock. And they had a great deal on Sazerac rye whiskey. They had to buy one, get one. So I bought one, and I got one. And then I was like, what can I do with rye whiskey at home? Because I'm so bare bones in my bar right now. Well, I got this eel sauce, you see. So I'm doing like the idea is it's almost like a martini type spread, like, but it's Sazerac rye whiskey, 3 ounces, and then a half ounce of homemade eel sauce, and then a half ounce of more just rice vinegar to like make it dirty, you know, and then 4 shakes of orange bitters. I don't know. We'll see. I feel like orange chicken, you know, like it fits within those like soy saucy Asian.
Yeah, orange fits. I get it. I get it. Yeah. I'm more worried about the herbs there than I am the orange, but I get it.
Yeah, and then there's and then I was like, this is pretty savory. What else is savory? Bloody Marys. So what if we just put a big fat piece of bacon in here with a pickle? And that's the whole drink. So let's try it. I haven't yet.
Fascinating. No sugar at all? Martini style, you said.
There's a lot of sugar in the eel sauce.
Okay, fair. Yep.
Oh, that's kind of not bad, actually. On.
And I guess you're getting your sour notes from everything else. Yeah.
It tastes more like a martini than I expected. I thought I was taking the idea of a martini and making something fucked up that would taste kind of like a Bloody Mary.
It's way more martini adjacent.
Somewhere around the profile negated the whiskey entirely. And it just kind of tastes like alcohol and brine.
Did you get a photo of it?
It's not very photogenic, but
I mean, that's totally fine. Sometimes it's not.
You know what? Here we go. Right,
sometimes we need one, especially for the website. Come on, this is an interesting one.
Live on site.
Yeah. Bam. That's fine.
Right there. Okay, cool.
I similarly did not think that I was going to have a photogenic and an interesting cocktail here for this evening. And then I came up with one, and not only does it taste good, but it looked good. So I was like, oh man, fuck, I got to take this seriously. So
I'm very excited to know yours.
Mine's not that crazy by comparison. It is like not, I don't want to call it standard, but it's like a little bit more standard. What's the name of this?
Oh, yeah. Mine's called Brethren's Bathwater.
Love it. Love it. Mericanii coated as fuck. I really like it. Mine is, I'm calling it the Golden Age. It's sour style cocktail served up, except for I used if you look at the ingredients list, no sugar in this cocktail. Instead of compensated with maraschino liqueur and grapefruit juice.
I was going to say those
naturally it's a little bit more sugary, but
yeah, no sugar here.
So it's 1.5 ounces of vodka, 1 ounce maraschino liqueur, and then a half an ounce of allspice dram, 3 ounces of grapefruit juice, finished with 2 drops of PJ's chaga tincture that he gave my whole family like little dripper bottles of. Lasts a while, it's preserved in alcohol, etc. But it's so good for certain things. This is a perfect example. A little bit of that mushroom coming through with kind of the allspice dram and everything else. This I did not expect to work as well as it did. No, I tried a little taste of it out of the shaker, and I was like, man, I'm going to need to add like a little bit of sugar. But it's perfect. It's delightful. The maraschino and the allspice dram are like both sweeter style things, and it's like, nailed it.
You know, sometimes
so I feel you.
take a risk and it works. So cheers.
Yeah, exactly. Cheers to that. My front half, to the point of the conversation, as mentioned before, was Josh wine. It was the back half of a bottle of their rosé. So Josh Sellers rosé back half. My back half beer is a Dale's American Pale Ale from Oscar Blues.
Very nice.
Yeah, which we went to. Obviously, they're out of Colorado, but they have a distribution point in Nashville. We went and saw them there because they had like a big facility out there. It was great. It's cool.
Sorry if there's crunching in the mic. I'm eating my
enjoying your bacon,
soy sauce bacon, and it's pretty good.
It's probably delightful. So yummy. I'm calling my cocktail the Golden Age. I did because I liked it so much. I took photos of it with Demon and White to give it a little
incredible
little thing. I think these
honestly,
are going to be.
Thought mine was an abomination. I should have taken pictures of it, and given it the whole thing. But I took some just now. But damn.
This isn't your fault, Josh, because we haven't done this for the book for the most part. We barely added any cocktails at all to the website.
Yeah,
for various reasons. You've not had the login, so you've not had the capability.
And I
to do
haven't
so.
had very many interesting cocktails so far. So.
You've had some great photos with solid cocktails though before this. So
yes,
as a part of this, these will at the very least be the first from this book, or the second actually, because I think I posted the Lesser Devil cocktail that I made.
Yes.
But we'll do those.
Very good
for this. So yeah. Anyway,
it tastes fun. It doesn't taste like alcohol, which is scary to me.
That's yikes, dog. With that, the meeting of the minds is what we're here to talk about. On the back half here, it's starting it off.
It's like gazpacho.
It's a gazpacho soup. It's the gazpacho soup of cocktails. You're like, ooh, wow,
just
this is way
soup.
more fun.
Yummy.
Yeah. With a little spoon.
Exactly.
Josh's next cocktail is 4 ounces of chicken broth and 1 ounce of vodka.
It's actually 4 ounces of vodka and 1 ounce of chicken broth, but I'll tell you, it tastes the opposite.
It tastes crazy. Dude, it tastes like chicken noodle soup without the noodles.
Everything tastes good when you've been fasting for 3 days. What?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have done a 3-day fast, and you have to break it with bone broth. Throw 2 ounces of vodka in there. I've done it, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean I've done 3-day fasts, but why'd you break it with bone broth specifically?
Oh.
Or what's the deal?
I was taught to not break it with too much of a full meal, and actually breaking it with broth is ideal because it lets your body process something it can pass super easily before you start adding in vegetables and fermented food, because those will clear out stomach bacteria, and then you go into actual food after that. All in a day.
That totally makes sense. I was just curious as to why broth first, because in my experience, what I've done with fasting,
it was like a flush. It was hey, if there's anything left in there, let's get it out, kind of a thing.
That makes sense. Just for me, it was protein, so it was you break it with 2 eggs. That's it for a couple of hours, and then you start to go in.
But broth also
has
protein in it.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was just the amount of protein, I think.
Specifically bone broth, so it's a little bit. But yeah, no, I totally agree.
Bone broth is way better. I like that idea. I was just soup, hot, something easy that's hot to drink, and you start with that. That'd be so good. I will never forget.
Really pleasant.
Go ahead.
Oh no, keep going.
I was just going to say, I'll never forget for your birthday in 2024.
Yes.
Right? 2024, when we went to
Nashville.
We were in Nashville, and PJ walks away from the place that we had been to the day before or whatever, and he's like, yeah, we're going to go get some bone broth. And he literally comes back with a thing. I think, did you go with him, or was it some of the other friends? I can't remember. It was
but
50,
I was excited that it came back.
Yeah. Yeah, and he came back with just a thing of bone broth, and a big thing is I'm just going to drink this all day. And I had a couple of sips, and I was like, man, dude, that was the best idea.
I drank a lot of that bone broth, because he got it, and so did my buddy Tim, and so did my buddy Brandon. So there were 3 pints of bone broth that
giant
we were all just sipping on.
It was $4, I think, a piece, and it's Jesus, that's so good for soup.
Good stuff. Good soup.
Good soup. Good soup. Good time.
No, I will never do a fast again. Well, not a 3-day one, probably. Had not thought about Wiener Schnitzel in a decade. And then I fasted for 3 days. And on the third day, I swear to God, I was like seeing like cartoon style, seeing people as Wiener Schnitzel chili dogs. Like I craved one so bad, I was like shaking. I needed a Wiener Schnitzel chili cheese dog, and since then I haven't been able to break the habit. I was dog free for a decade, and me and hot dogs have not parted since that fast. It did. I think it did more to harm my diet and stomach health than it did to help it. Because it was 3 days of clarity, but then it was since then 3 years of dogs.
That's so fucking funny.
I've never had a craving that didn't stop once I had it. I was like, I still need it. Like it's my heroin now. Like I have to have the Wiener Schnitzel.
Wow.
And it only happened because of my 3-day fast.
Yeah. Crazy. That's so funny. I never had that experience with fast. Although, to be fair,
good for you.
I briefly, as a part of the Ironman training, and I've talked about this, I don't know that much before in the podcast, but I, for the last 2 months, went vegan for the period of time. Because it will increase your like VO2 for reasons. So like I was completely vegan intentionally, which led to some like very crazy domino orders with some of my friends where they're like, wait, you're ordering the dough, the tomato sauce and mushrooms and veggies on top of your pizza, but no cheese, no nothing else. And I was like, yeah, sorry, I got to do this. So ate that. It was great. But
I love the creativity that like non-ethically vegan gives you. Because it's like, okay, if it touched some stuff, but it's just got to technically be vegan.
I don't fucking give a shit. Yeah. It's just like, I get it. I get that you care, but I do not care.
Like vegans are like, where was the source? And you're like, no, just as long as it's mushrooms and tomato sauce, maybe shove it down my gullet.
I don't even care if it touched a pepperoni. I'm fine with that. It can wipe on the pepperoni all it wants.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I probably like that one more. To kind of round out this side of the conversation, I did that up until and through the race of the Ironman. When I finished, immediately the first thing I did afterwards when we were on our way home, like they've got like a lineup of food, as you should. You burn 13,000 calories over the course of 17 hours or whatever the fuck you do. So you're toast and you are actively eating the whole time, about 8,000 calories, but you're still at a deficit. It's pretty crazy. Your body is not used to that or willing to do that often. And they have a lot of food. I didn't want to eat anything in the moment, which shocked everyone and was very counter to everyone else's experience that I'd raced with that day. On the way home, though, about 30 minutes after the fact, I went, I need a pizza. And so they ordered Domino's. We picked up Domino's from a local space. And I was like, I want pepperoni and jalapenos. And they pepperoni, jalapeno pizza, whatever. I smashed that entire pizza within 5 minutes. I ate the whole goddamn large pizza in 5 minutes.
And here's the thing. That is a moment, and that is impressive. But it is Domino's. And Domino's just tastes so good that sometimes you gotta do it.
I just meant I transitioned immediately from being vegan for 2 months to Domino's pizza. Like I full subduction. Like if we're talking about plate tectonics for no reason, like I fully gave into that shit immediately. That's at Meeting of the Minds. Yeah.
Valko arrives much later and is shocked.
And is shocked at the revelation that Gibson is alive. They proceed the next day and see a real Da Vinci from Earth, as many of the items are there from that ancient planet. You can sense Hadrian's impatience in his writing as he doesn't choose to explore, but instead focus on the task at hand of introducing these two characters to each other. He doesn't want to see the ephemera. He doesn't want to go explore the archives in the moment. He's more like, my two favorite people in the world have this opportunity to meet, and that's more important to me.
It's also interesting that things that would a true Da Vinci probably means more to me and you than it does to Hadrian, because it's an Earth artifact.
Yeah, right.
Like he mentions here, like the time between Caesar and Washington is so much smaller in time, but so much bigger in distance than Washington and him,
Right.
Also, it probably downplays why he was as into it as maybe you or I would think he would, considering it is just like it's like a Blu-ray with Tom Hanks, and he's like a true Da Vinci.
It's the Da Vinci Code.
It's the Da Vinci Code. He's like, I can't believe
it's just playing
his true code. Da Vinci's code. Well, they don't know how to read it. They just know it's a disc, and they know that there's data on it, but they can't figure it out because they got rid of all their Mericanii Blu-ray players.
I do wonder if there's any of that preserved throughout the the layer of things that could also maybe explain some of Hadrian's humor and callbacks to certain things. Like
wildly and weirdly meta when they find a Star Wars.
We do. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not only wildly and weirdly meta, but like there's a Luke Skywalker joke early in Empire of Silence. Like, is that a Hadrian making a comment back to us and being like, haha, I saw 10 seconds of an old film reel from ancient Earth in this Mericanii archive. Thought it'd be funny to bring up right now.
But also like the distance between Washington and Al being, you know, like feeling so much less to them than the distance between Washington and Caesar makes me think, like, would they consider Luke Skywalker a movie, or would they consider him just as much of a true mythology of the land in the same way that they consider, you know, Odysseus? Like, would they consider Skywalker and Odysseus any differently from each other?
I think it'd be considered a myth, especially if you consider the fact that there's this is something that I don't think a whole lot of sci-fi has explored, but the idea of like pop culture as it might survive over the eons being aged. And this is the closest that I've seen from a lot of pop culture sources that I've read. Red Rising actually does a really good job of this with in the very first book, and then never addresses it ever again. But there's a commentary when a green is like locking into a simulation of Osgiliath, I believe is the sort of like section. So it's mentioned outwardly as though they're simulating the Lord of the Rings. But that isn't as distant as this series is. But
Darrow does quote like old mythology whenever he says bye Felicia.
Yes. Yes. Also Victra says that, but I appreciate
but sorry. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
No, I mean, not wrong. Similarly though, I mean, I guess my point here is that like Luke Skywalker exists in and across 100 books within like the oeuvre of like Star Wars novels. In addition, he's got all the movies, which we'll say there are 6 of those that, you know, he's involved in directly, and then also there's
how many books is
a
he
couple
in?
of TV series. Well, that's what I'm saying. 100. He's in 100.
Yeah.
So
how
like,
many books is Odysseus in?
1, 2, 3.
I'd say. Yeah.
The Aeneid, the Odyssey, the Iliad, for the most part. He's obviously referenced elsewhere. So, like, the myth of Luke Skywalker would perpetuate itself, I think, better, you know, and might survive better. I don't know.
Who's to say?
That's a good question.
I have often wondered, and I'm sure that anybody who like has an actual historical standpoint on it has a better idea. But there's that part of me that does think like, is Greek mythology pop culture of the time rather than something they actually believe? Of course it is. Okay, yeah,
like it absolutely is.
That's how it feels. Like it feels like, hey, like nobody was like Zeus is up there. Maybe some people were, but it's more like the idea of Zeus is something we all like, and there's stories about him that we know are fake, but maybe exists. But like,
well, it's just that interaction also between like religion and pop culture that like is a separate thing as well, where it's like this wasn't what actually happened. Obviously, for a dozen reasons. Like Homer also is not perhaps a single authorial source or voice, but is instead the accumulation of different sources recorded under a person named Homer. Right. So like there's so many different like swings at this story.
Exactly. And you can only learn so much from Springfield, and yeah, that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
Sorry. Mythology is pop culture. You heard it here first, folks. Signed off Crossland Shaw, and I agree.
Yeah, no, I for the most part, I agree. I think mythology is.
I think it is pop culture, right? Yeah,
which is also for a while was also religion, like because they didn't have anything else and they didn't have any other.
I also think there's something interesting whenever you look at something like the Odyssey and the separation of how long the story is supposed to take place to whenever it is written down, at least, or told. Is it pop culture based off of past religion? You know, like it's
right
at the time. You know,
yeah. I mean, what's the Minos, for instance, is often associated with the Minotaur. What's fascinating about Minos is that they perhaps were never actually, no Minotaur actually existed, but instead they associated themselves so fervently with the bull that then the myth of taking down Minos became associated inadvertently with bull. Minotaur became a mythological figure, and then the Greeks, the Athenians, of whom actually fought Minos, then became this sort of like mythological story of taking down the bull in the labyrinth. So
Yeah.
even though in reality what it was a trade war and a lot of other things that existed at the time. But we prefer more immediately the mythological story that instead puts that into a simpler context of, hey, it was a complicated time. We sent a hero to take down the bull. He did for different reasons. Maybe it was just politics. But
And
like
American imperialism siphoning trade
personal
routes
resources
and pushing terrorism around the globe to protect her interests so that she can then go militarily secure those spaces is really hard to comprehend and digest. But Star Wars episodes 1, 2, and 3 is not too bad.
Exactly. Similarly, if we draw comparisons that we're going to talk about a little bit more in a moment here, but if we think about this in a similar context to the story that we're getting in Meeting of the Minds, if you imagine the American build out of data centers that Christopher Rocchio hadn't fully understood or comprehended at the moment in 2020, the depth to which or 2019 when he was running this, the depth to which this was bound to happen, he basically pitched the worst version of the existence that we were actually seeing in so many ways.
The version that we're seeing, I think, which is the worst version.
Yeah.
I don't know how far he goes, but as of right now,
It's just like Elon hasn't been elected yet. You know what I mean?
I'm not
and
seeing that he's wrong yet, you know?
Yeah, right. That's fair.
Yeah.
I do love this quote, though, before we move on from that point
sorry.
within this chapter itself. 2 chapters of my life, 2 very different lives stood represented in these 2 people, the woman I loved and the man who raised me. Seeing each of them at once, I felt at once the boy of 19 and the man of 63.
That's just nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, damn. Like, I can't imagine. I guess the central conceit of the story made me believe for sure Gibson had to be dead, right? But there was always the opportunity he was on the ice, but like, just it didn't really make sense logistically.
It's unlikely. Yeah.
I think Hadrian came to that conclusion, and so I came to that conclusion because I experienced the story through Hadrian. But experiencing Hadrian and Valka at 63 is crazy, you know?
Yeah.
And it makes sense. Like, I don't know if you run into a friend you haven't seen in 2 decades, but you do kind of revert back to who you were to a degree. Like, mentally, it like sets you back there. So it's like he's 19 and old as shit all at the same time. So
yeah, he feels both of those things dichotomously in the same moment. I mean, it leads to a very interesting perspective on Hadrian and also them simultaneously for the reasons that they've attracted to each other. I mean, obviously, like, Hadrian glommed onto Gibson because of his love of history, and similarly, Hadrian saw that in Volca and vice versa. So, like, he is a mutual connection point between the two, so naturally it makes sense that he wants to see the 2 of them meet and talk. Because, like, the mutual shared point of interest here is Hadrian, but is Gibson's raising of Hadrian that led to fascination for Volca.
also, we don't entirely get this in the section. We don't entirely not get it. Maybe we'll get it later. But for me, I was just so excited. I was like, Volca and Gibson can solve this. Like, Hadrian, get out the way. You know, I'm like, I was very excited for the 2 smartest people in the series to just talk for a second.
Yeah. There's also a moment where they chat that she understands that where his sense of drama comes from as well, because like Gibson, I think here, like we get enough Gibson in Empire of Silence where we don't like fully get it, but here he's quite a bit more severe, quite a bit more dramatic in a lot of ways that like directly reflect upon Hadrian and his behavior before they begin to reflect on what's in Gabriel's archive, the Quiet, the Mericanii, and more. They even reflect on the visions that have existed, as we mentioned before, why Gibson appears in them, and Hadrian's lonely childhood in the castle of Devil's Rest, and the pair are as good as married in Valka's mind as well. It's a lot of character moments to wrap up into one, but, you know, to chat about them all, what do you think?
There's even some things here that, and it's hard to like parse how the story unfolds based on the fact that it's being written by Hadrian in the future, so it's all his memory of the moment and everything, but there's some moments here where it almost is glossed over, where like I'm pretty sure Gibson is intentionally playing dumb or coy to guide the conversation to get the things he wants out of people. like with the Valka situation,
You definitely
like,
do that. I mean, I do that.
oh, I forgot. Whenever she's like, oh, I'm Tavros, and he's like, oh, I forgot that's how that works. And then Hadrian makes a note to be like, he's a Scholiast. He doesn't forget these things. Right. So like he specifically did a like leading question to get an honest answer, to get her to the answer that he was wondering if existed. Like it's really interesting to see Gibson exist here in a way where you're noticing that he's, and I don't mean this negatively, but more of a master manipulator than we really understood. In like the sense that he can like take a situation and mold it and twist it and make a person think a certain thing. And it also kind of leads me to wonder, like, the version of Gibson that Hadrian remembers is this all-knowing, wise mentor. But was he just a guy who really understood how to get Hadrian to like learn and do the things he wanted him to? Because he's like really good at that. And at the end of the day, he's a psychologist. You know, he's a philosopher. He's not
Right.
any of the other schools. He's a guy who like understands the human psyche more than he does like the study of all these other things. And sure, he studies a lot of things, but he mostly studies human nature and the human condition. So he's very well versed with stories. It's just fun to see Gibson in his element, and it makes me realize like what we really need to unravel this mystery, in my opinion. We have Hadrian, who is at the center of it and has the information. We have Vulca, who is the computer that can take the information and decode it and then parse it out. We need someone to put the story together, to understand it. And like, to me, it's implied that could be Gibson, based on just how he interacts with them, even in these little moments. He knows how to look at Hadrian and Valka and be like, you guys are married? No? Oh, I forgot. Tavrosi I didn't know that. So how do you feel about that? Because he already knows the story, and he just needs them to like say their pieces to piece the story together.
Yeah, connect that to some degree. I definitely get it. I believe, and I think that Hadrian has also made this analogy throughout the story that like Gibson almost feels Merlin-like to some
Very
degree
much
to
so.
him.
Yeah.
And also we've got Camelot analogies, we've got Arthurian analogies, we've got Uther existing in the background of all of this. Like there's so much. So to me, I kind of get the sense of what you're saying exactly. If we like analogize him more directly to Merlin, because I do think that is sort of your connective tissue from missing the wisdom angle for a lot of the story. So far, it's been brute force. It's been trying to solve all these things. And this triangle of the Triforce, if you will, has been missing within sort of the...
Like he's not
pyramidal
far
knowledge.
off from just like an original trilogy, Obi-Wan, right? Like he doesn't have the answers, but he knows how to guide the person. So
yeah. Hadrian also learns as a part of this conversation that he's been replaced and that Sabine is to be made the scion of House Marlowe next. And that Crispin is married with children now at this point. Hadrian even snaps about Sabine, and Gibson puts him back in his seat in relation to, you know, how he's overreacting to something that like really doesn't matter to him in the long run and should not matter.
yeah, this was one of those interesting moments, much like whenever the demons of RA are mentioned throughout this, where it's like, I know that probably a lot of people who read these books but didn't read all the side shit.
The novellas, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
This is one of the moments where I'm like, yeah, this would be an interesting moment, I guess, but I'd kind of gloss over it. This wouldn't have the same oomph if I hadn't read The Lesser Devil, right? Like this is one of those moments that really like feels good with the reading we've done. And The Lesser Devil I do think is more optional reading in general. But
Comparatively,
like,
yeah.
but whoa, does this really feel like it? Like it just, information wise, it would feel I guess out of left field in a way that works with the story, but very out of left field to get this here. But it feels very satisfactory and like closing a loop having read that.
It definitely functions for sure as far as the story goes, and I totally get you there. I actually today wrote a whole thing on Reddit and replied to someone who was like, what's optional, what's not? And we're talking about like the novellas, the short stories and things like that. I was like, well, I understand where other people are coming from, saying that like you can only read the main story and that's fine. But I functionally disagree in a couple of points. One, I think Dregs of Empire, which takes place between books 5 and book 6, is functionally important to the story. I think that it would be a shame to miss out on some of that. I don't think it works nearly as well without it. And I said, I think the only other thing that is maybe necessary, in my opinion, is Demons of RA, which is like truly like crazy. There's some other short stories that I would say like are along that line going between book 5 and book 6 that we're going to cover. I don't know if they're like entirely mandatory to some degree, because I do think the story covers it well.
I mean,
but this is a great example of something.
Empire of Silence is mandatory, so you know.
Yeah, right. I mean, I kind of agree with you. I mean, like, is it? And to that point, like, I don't know that I would call Lesser Devil mandatory reading, but I do think that like
it's certainly
this moment
reading.
Hits harder because you know that like Hadrian's finally learned that like he's lost his place in the world, and we understand who Sabine is too. We understand that she's a lot more rational, and also within Gibson's perspective of calling her a more rational person and everything else from Alcuin, we know that like Hadrian's reaction is overstated versus what she actually is.
I
which
think
is
my favorite part about this section, having read Lesser Devil, is Hadrian glosses over like his brother in this moment,
Crispin, entirely, and like why he got glossed over, and instead it's just like it's about her.
He dismisses it as like Crispin, like father chose Crispin for me, and then he dismissed him for her, and he assumes that Crispin must feel the same way. But we know from reading Lesser Devil that Crispin doesn't expect to inherit Devil's Rest. He expects his sister to.
Yeah.
Like,
and he expected Hadrian to.
And he expected Hadrian to. And like, it gives us such an idea of the real Crispin that I think is necessary for this scene and many of the scenes in Empire of Silence. And just like, it reframes Crispin so much where Hadrian's like, oh man, another throwaway son. And I'm like, he's not the throwaway son. He's exactly who he was raised to be and wanted to be. Like, it actually makes me kind of love Crispin in a way where I want to defend him in this moment.
Oh, entirely.
While Hadrian's like talking shit. And I'm like, no, Crispin's not you. And he's not your father. Later, he talks about like, Crispin is my father's son. And I'm like, hardly. Like, he is not Alistair at all.
Well, and Gibson actively disagrees in that moment.
Yeah.
Like, he's
if anything,
like, no,
Crispin's more like
son. Yeah.
Crispin's more like Polino than anybody else, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
fair from a character perspective. Yeah. Maybe Gen more than, you know, obviously we
Gen is a solid one.
But like Gen is like,
it's just
practically Crispin.
Yeah. I guess the big difference is Crispin's alive.
That's a fair point. Yeah. No, I definitely get it. And that's where like I stand on the side materials is like, maybe they're not necessary fully, but man, especially in this moment, it adds a good amount of context. Truly, out of the three novellas, I think the only one that is eminently skippable, just because it doesn't come up that often, is Queen Mid-Ashes. Like, that is maybe the most unnecessary of them, but it gives you good context on the Red Company and other things like that. So it feels good. But Demons of RA is infinitely more important to me than Queens.
Demons of RA is chapter 1 of Demon in White.
Yeah.
Lesser Devil is the novella you should read if you're going to read one at this point in the book.
Right.
And Queen of Mid-Ashes is a really good story.
It's a solid story. Unnecessary, but it's a solid story.
Yeah. It doesn't do a ton.
Yeah.
But
it's good. It's so good. It's fun.
Yeah. Okay.
They reveal that they have plenty of time here to sort out the Makers, the Watchers, and more out from the sort of detritus of the library. And Hadrian also explains that he feels like he's failed Gibson's dream of being a scholiast. And he tells him that he has faith. And Gibson turns back and says that he has faith in him to find a way towards the answers that he's looking for, and that he's going to help him in the end. And this is a fun moment that like comes to bear over the course of the episode, of course. And sort of the 5 years of time that elapse as we enter Colchis so far. But it's just kind of sweet. It's a sweet little moment. Yeah.
Sorry. 1 second. Just 1 second. Detritus, meaning trash, rubbish, or leftover junk. Loose rock fragments, sand, or silt. Dead, decaying organic matter, like fallen leaves. You don't have to say detritus just in a normal sentence. Like maybe when we're talking about some stuff, but like there's words, there's other stuff. It's fine.
Man, we literally had this conversation earlier where like I do just sometimes add words and I don't mean to like they come off some way. But like detritus, I guess, is one of my like more, I don't know. I think it describes garbage so much more interestingly.
I mean, it's a great word.
It's not
anybody you said it to knew it.
it's not garbage. It's not trash. It's
detritus.
the random. Well, no. It's like the. Think about it this way: you go through. You're driving your car. Not that you drive that often. Do you have a car at the moment?
I drive every goddamn day.
Oh god,
an hour to work and an hour
you do.
back. That's why we're recording.
I don't know. I don't know what car you drive or what that looks like.
It's a 2015 red Honda Fit. With
Hell
a Daft Punk sticker and a D&D sticker.
Love that. So driving your car. I mean, I don't know what rain puddles exist in California. I keep.
We have rain sometimes.
You never rain.
Quite a bit in San Diego. Actually, we're very coastal.
Josh, in your coastal Honda Fit, you're driving on a rainy day.
Yes.
You splash in the leaves. And
I hydroplane, I die.
You hydroplane a little bit, but you don't die. You scramble. You get to a stoplight. You look. There's scattering leaves that are on the edges, and there's those little tiny bits that kind of line the edges of your windows. And to me, detritus is that on the edge. It's not the grouping of trash. It's not the accumulation of the mess. It's the tiny bits. It's the little pieces. It's the send-offs. And so that's where like I like detritus as a word. And that's where I try to use it. It's like it's the tiny little pieces of trash.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I appreciate that you don't care.
No, I actually do think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Garbage. All right, moving on.
Yeah. That's why I say detritus. Anyway, Volka and Gibson share a private word as Hadrian heads outside. She comes back out, and they both say that they're happy. He asks what she asked Gibson about, and Volka says that she didn't ask him about anything, but instead thanked Gibson for Hadrian. For giving her Hadrian in the way that she is. A very sweet, cute moment. She kisses him on the cheek.
It's interesting nice. In the conversation before of like, we're not married, but we might as well be. It's 70 years. This almost feels like that thanking is almost like a thing you'd tag onto a wedding speech.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like it's so
definitely
written. It's so vow based almost. Like it's cute.
Mm-hmm.
I would say in a weird, solemn way, this section is Hadrian and Valka's wedding.
I kind of think so, and I kind of agree with you on that. I hadn't considered that fully before, but I do think
obviously she can't be married legally in the connotations of that, but in the realm of the relationship.
It's not even just like legally; it's that she like chooses not to. Above and beyond that, because she can break the law. Like she's
for sure.
We've never seen her interact with another member of the demarchy the whole time.
Legal marriage, but in the sense of like what marriage represents to each other, this is kind of their wedding.
Yes, exactly. I think that this is the closest that they get. This isn't, if we think about this in current parlance, this isn't you asking the father if you can marry the woman. This is instead her thanking him for him being who he is as an acknowledgement of their vows to some degree to each other.
At my wedding, that was more the case, Yeah. I did actively ask my wife's dad, but the asking was more like, hey, I'm going to do this and I feel like I should ask. And also thank you for making a cool daughter. And then more of a conversation about that, like.
Sure.
And it has that vibe. And I don't know, it felt. We talk about this section and especially where we're going being an anime beach episode. It's also a wedding episode in a weird, dumb way.
Yeah.
It's not a wedding episode. They're not married, but has that vibe of like you've met
that emotional weight,
or at least like pre-wedding, like you're meeting my family as we like. I don't know. It has that like weight of
it's not meet
family.
The Fockers, but it is. I'm just kidding. Yeah,
it is meet the parents though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like
definitely.
Tor Gibson, we actually still don't know by the end of this who he was before, but he was definitely in the CIA.
It kind of seems like that.
And he
There's some
did
questions.
train a cat to shit in the toilet. So, yeah.
At the very least. Yeah. Philosophically trained a cat to shit in the toilet. Didn't literally, but philosophically did.
Well,
for sure.
Literally, he has nipples, Fokker. Could you milk him? But it's... I love Meet the Parents, by the way.
Great movie.
Okay.
I I agree for the record. That said, we can move on to Gabriel's archives. Torarian arrives, having received the Emperor's letter finally over the incredible transcription that is single character at a time via binary that requires one to receive a full letter back and forth over the course of incredible distances of stars. It's only been a month. Volca says it could have been longer. It would have been fine. But they've spent this time exploring the hallowed halls. We get a reading of rules as to what can and cannot be messed with within the archive and how nothing is to be recorded, to the degree that the Chantry will start a war to erase the Demarchy from the solar system if the information is shared in any way, shape, or form by Volca. She accepts this with just a simple nod. There's a lot of hand-wringing from Arian, but the danger posed by what is contained here as the artifacts inside are Mericanii adjacent. It's kind of a big little conversation that happens between the pair of them, especially just from the consequences of Valka's potential actions here. But yeah, I don't know. Thoughts on Arian's reaction? Before we get into the Indiana Jones of it all.
Yes. I don't know. I've got too many thoughts here, to be completely honest.
That's fair. That's fair. It's an interesting opener. Like, I think the big thing for me is like the political consequences of allowing Valka in are crazy, and the Emperor is willing to accept those to some degree, but also still willing to counter threat them, right?
Okay, yeah. I guess that the idea of like, we'll invade your country.
We will erase your people if you release this info.
It's a big threat. It's a big threat. And not just a threat, it's a promise, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, there's a part of me here that wonders. They don't like that these people exist anyways, and they haven't erased them for a reason. And so, like, how empty is the promise? I don't know. Like, to us, it's like, yes, they would do it. I don't think they could win that war.
Okay.
I know they have the numbers and the firepower, but they've also limited themselves scientifically on purpose.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting question here because we don't know the
because also Valka doesn't respond with fear, right? Like she doesn't respond at all.
She nods.
She's like, "Yeah, you think you could do that? That's funny, you bitch." That's how I read it. You know, like I don't know. It seems like a big moment, but we only get it from Hadrian's view, and we don't know much about the Tavrosi. But we do know that they're elevated well beyond the like empire in the sense of like their technology. We know that Valka like glassed a planet at a word and feels bad about it. Not a planet, but kind of.
Most of it, yeah. Moon,
a moon. Yeah, I don't know. There's part of me that thinks that this is written in this moment to be read as a threat of what we'll do to you, but Valka's reaction makes me kind of think it's like sure.
Yeah, I get the sure of it all for sure.
I also think she respects it and she's not going to do anything with that information.
Right.
And that might be the sure. She's like, yeah, obviously I'm not going to share this information. I'll do what you say.
I think about Volka's sure to that point, I should say, as more of a, okay, I've internalized, especially considering the new context that we have, I've internalized the contract, I've taken it down, I'm not going to violate that. And so it's very, robotic to the point of the conversation that we've had so far about like Volka's like actual internal mechanisms. So yeah.
It's just the more we learn about Jad and the more we learn about Tavros, the more we learn about these like other human establishments, and even the more we learn about like the Extrasolarians, the Empire is the biggest, but I don't know that they could beat any one of them if they just decided to attack.
Or if they're just choosing not to like fight that for some reason.
Right. It seems like all the like external human
forces
are like choosing not to make the Empire a problem for some reason. And we're just kind of like being okay with it, and the Empire is choosing not to expand anymore, which is very non-imperial. So
Right.
I don't know. There's some deeper layers to that, I guess, that this like kind of brought up for me whenever I was reading. But
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to peel back here from that perspective is like, wait, like you're willing to take on the burden of all of Tavros if you fuck up, and Volka's like, yeah, because I'm not gonna fuck up. I'm perfect. Hair fling, like.
yeah, I'm not
But
just
also
perfect. I'm mathematically perfect. I'm
mathematically
a machine,
perfect.
baby.
I will never fuck that up
Exactly. I couldn't if
for
I
your
wanted to.
purpose. Yeah,
I'm basically a Mericanii.
yeah, right. I will not make a mistake. We do then get a rundown, though, of the history here. Gabriel's archive was built by Gabriel II, one of the emperors, of course, of the Avent House, and designed by Tora Aramani, one of Gabriel's brothers, to house the items and to have this really intense locks placed on the doors, which have to be opened in a complex sequence that feels very straight out of Indiana Jones or the Da Vinci Code or some shit like that, as well as a sea channel above to block radiation and flood the archives as necessary before the nuclear weapons would be poised to destroy the entire archive itself without affecting the library above, should it be necessary. In addition, within this little tiny section, there's a fun spat between Scholius here where it says, "You are a philosopher, are you not, brother?" And Gibson replies, "You are an engineer. Stay in your house." There's just
So
some good
fucking
shit in this
cool.
section on the whole. Like,
There's like that
yeah.
whole banter between them where they're like trying to like dig at one another. But I love, aren't you a philosopher? Because Hadrian has noted that Tor Gibson's house of philosophers is like kind of considered amongst Scholius the least of them, right?
Yes, yeah, More's house. Yep.
Yeah. So like him trying to be like, you're a philosopher, and he's like, you're an engineer. You just do math and gears and shit. Such a cool moment, and I love Gibson's explanation of why philosophy is important coming up here. But also I think it looks really cool inherently.
Man, this looks so sick in my head. Like,
Because-
this is massive.
I this section I only listened to. Two earlier sections I read. This one I listened to. Aramati, I definitely heard as Armani. And I just thought like the designer Armani.
Sure. Yeah.
I like
Armani.
yeah, this was designed by Armani. And so I just have to assume it's just all sleek little black fabric with pinstripes and shit. But yeah, no, it's super cool. There's the gear faces and everything's like so I don't know, it's
Thud, click, 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 click. Like there's a very physical,
yeah.
nature to it.
I'll also say just because it is hopeful, it like almost gives solar punk. Like there's like this like really cool. I don't know. I feel like you get steampunk in a sense of like a lot of it's not dystopian, it's steampunk, but in the sense of a lot of like things are bad and there's steampunk. It's rare to get that like steampunk in a library, you know?
Yeah,
It just
exactly.
feels
Simultaneously.
cool and good. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
steampunk and no guns, you know?
Steampunk, no guns. Very interesting. Like going from a very like decrepit medieval library now to like an Indiana Jones maze beneath into like LED lights, as we assume, or maybe like floodlights. So like we move from like candlelight, which is the modern moment, but also feels old to us, into modern lighting in a weird way where like maybe flickers and lens flares very differently against the camera.
Yeah.
Like I feel something very interesting about going into this as these Indiana Jones-esque doors open, leading to a reveal of the inside of Gabriel's collection from the 5th millennium. They begin their exploration, including Polino's paranoid trip down and around with his crew, and finding a single document under glass written in classical English, of which we know to be the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States of America, which then connects the dots, finally, that the Americans are the Mericanii, as well as a red, white, and blue flag on the wall, standard, as it's called within Hadrian's, like there's a standard with red and white stripes. He doesn't even reference the blue there. Until we arrive at Fels, we walk down this hall of presidents. We see all the different portraits of them including a number that we know and a couple that we don't. Pembroke, Overton, and Felsenburgh is sort of the final one that we learned from Gibson is the one whom doomed humanity. This is sort of where the bigger conversation begins. But yeah, that's a lot to kind of take in all at once. But hit what you'd like.
If only they got Felsenburgh instead of Connor, But
John Connor? What?
well, no, if only John Connor got Felsenburgh. That's it. That's what it is.
Yeah. Then we would never, like, Skynet would have never happened.
Yeah. There's a moment in the second one where she almost shoots the guy who makes Skynet, but
Rue?
Was that
almost, and
Felsenburgh?
chooses not to. Tough to say. Yeah.
No. Damn. This is a really cool moment. I love the description of like, there's a letter I have no way of deciphering. I've decided it's a T, and the rest says the. And it just gave me SpongeBob. But also, that's how the Declaration of Independence looks, And so here we are.
Blame John fucking Hancock. Yeah.
Dude loved to draw.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to like, and he starts listing, and you're like, oh no, and he's like, these 13 states, and then all the authors, you're like, well, here we are. America did it. Shock. And I know it was a shocker for you, but also, I have assumed America would end the world for a while, so
to the degree that it was a shocker, was it like a degree of shock for you still here that like the way that it was, like eventually a president gave way, like the technocrat angle that we get into here, like Felsenburgh as the element of like a technocrat being elected to president, like all the complications they're in. Does that track for you?
It makes a lot of sense, and it's kind of what I assumed.
Of course it does. Yeah.
And I will say I don't feel shocked at any moment in this. This is pretty much what I assumed.
To me, this felt like at the time, if we consider when Rockio wrote this versus where we are now 5 years later, where things have dramatically shifted from a technology standpoint.
Yeah.
I think that I can view Felsenburgh to some degree as a like future printed version of Musk. This is well before he was into AI and everything else and Grok and whatever else. But he was still kind of the crazy man on the fringe in a lot of different ways. And so in my head, I see Felsenburgh as the logical extension of what
I thought of
Rockio
Musk a
Musk.
lot during this.
I just think Felsenburgh was like the logical extension of what 4 generations of Musk might yield, right? Like in 120 years. Instead of like now we're 6 years after the fact.
Honestly,
and we have that Musk right now. Like Felsenburgh Musk exists today.
Right. It is wild that he like predicted Musk.
Kind of. Yeah. Crazy.
But also
and Sam
like,
Altman. Yeah.
Felsenburgh to me, like, I don't know, something about the Felsenburgh of this sent me on a weird spiral. Like I had to start thinking about like modern day people in different lights.
Sure.
Because of the way how he's described as being like he probably thought he was doing what was good for humanity. And it's not that I think that Felsenburgh thought he was doing what was good for humanity or any of the other people you might compare to Felsenburgh as doing what was good for humanity, but they truly thought that they were changing humanity. They were putting their stamp on humanity. They were becoming the thing. Right. And so like Felsenburgh or anybody else you might attribute to Felsenburgh probably thought they were like the new Henry Ford, who was also a terrible person.
Mm-hmm.
But did he change automation or like automotive? Sorry. Did he change cars? Yeah. Did he change the landscape that we live on to support cars in a long-term way because of that? Like, I don't know. There's something about Felsenburgh that feels so...
like retro industrial capitalists, like very like
yes.
Are you saying like robber baron-y?
Exactly. Like this kind of person that you can look back at as like a statue of a person who crushed so many people beneath him to become this like towering icon.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Which is what I think.
I'm also saying that that's Musk, but like that's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying like is it made me rethink how I think about like the Musks of the world, because as like a human, you think like, how do they think about humanity? Are they trying to do good or evil? And they're not trying to do anything. They're just trying to get their statue made. You know, and it's like Felsenberg was probably just trying to get his statue, because he was like beyond a separation to the people that he was creating, quote unquote, these for.
Yeah,
and
right.
so he created something so beyond something he was creating them for. He was closer to the machine than he was to the people, because he didn't give a shit about the people. He just wanted to be the person who made the thing the people raised the statue for. And instead he created their demise, you know?
Yeah. I mean, especially when you consider the fact that like the details that we get are like Felsenberg was a technocrat, a businessman. He took power promising his machines would end injustice and bring about peace. They did, and the people cheered him. When he died, the Mericanii controlled almost all of Earth, and her turned his government, and there turned his government over to the machines. Like, that I think is the crazy thing. Like we talked earlier, you mentioned earlier the Matrix.
The machines.
Well, yeah, right. But like you mentioned the Matrix, and like that is sort of the layer of difference. Is like at one point the man who invented the Matrix or Skynet or whatever the hell you want to say in our like sci-fi comparison network goes, okay, I've been in control, but instead of surrendering control because it took over, I'm choosing to give it control instead, because I know that it will maintain my ideal for all of humanity for as long as it need reign.
I would say that's more iRobot. You know,
that's an eternal king shit. Yeah, it's very iRobot, very Asimov in a way.
Yeah,
yeah.
Fuck.
Horrifying, very interesting, especially to consider the fate of Americans as a thing in the context of this world.
Which I think it can be kind of implied here that, like, Americans become the Mericanii machine. Right?
There's
like,
an interesting question that gets brought up later about the pyramids. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we are the microchip. But, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of unclear, the infinite joints and otherwise. That said, we'll get there in a moment. One of the things that I love about the section, we already talked about sort of like the time distance that exists with Hadrian from us to now, and sort of like the equation of like, do we include ancient Egypt? Where does this land? When did the Mericanii come about? Considering humanity's sort of general timeline. That's interesting. More importantly, though, as we discussed beforehand, in my mind is Hadrian's sort of knowledge about events and moments that happened in the past, for the most part, come about here. And so there's a good question, I think, that can be begged from the text of how much of this history that's been inserted throughout the text is because Hadrian has spent his time now learning history and can insert it backwards to be like, oh, I'm pointing to these fun events that compare well to what I was thinking and talking about, versus how much did he actually know in the moment? Like, did he actually recognize Dante when Cornsegar brought it up?
That's such a fun moment where
instead
he straight up admits he didn't, I think, to a degree, where he's like, oh, like, yes, I've referenced these things throughout this because I've studied them since. Like, yeah, maybe he recognized Dante in that moment.
Some
maybe he
pieces he
but
did.
He really presents himself
he didn't.
as the scholar that he is not until after he ate a son. You know,
right. So. Yeah. Until after he was done being a soldier. So, yeah. It's an interesting lens on the question. Yeah. So, Hadrian also reflects that he had first heard of Felsenberg from Suzaha, of whom is now Karn, and reflects that, again, that, like, Felsenberg doesn't look so crazy, and that he probably thought he was the hero in his own time. There's a lovely couple of quotes that accompany this here that I really enjoy as we sort of dissect the heroic nature of the text and its own interpretation of itself. I'm sure all of these people thought they were heroes, but then so few of us truly think themselves evil. They think good and evil matters of opinion and seek to impose their opinion, which is evil, on good. Nothing is evil in its beginning. It only grows that way. The Mericanii thought they were bringing peace and freedom to the world, but they couldn't control their machines.
I'll say that the only big disagreements I have with this is that this whole section exists written from a different era than the one I'm living in. And I don't know if they actually do think they're doing good. I just think they care about their machines.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's the point, is like they don't, like a lot of people believe themselves to be the heroes of their own story, right? Like that's what this is saying, is that like evil sprouts without them being aware of like their own narrative. Internal narratives be damned. I think this is also meant to be, from our textual consideration, a damnation point for Hadrian, where it's like Hadrian doesn't realize that he is as awful as he is to some degree.
Yes, I totally agree.
So, yeah. Yeah, and I think that it's especially damning because I believe this comes from Gibson, and so Gibson is kind of, in some ways, damning Hadrian's end goal, end result here.
And that's good.
Yeah.
Hadrian is
A bitch. Sorry, what else?
Yeah, a little. But yeah,
Just a little one.
It's just so interesting. Like, I mean, he's writing the story, so it's so easy to like feel for him and follow him. But like, at the end of the day, we don't really know yet. But he does continually seem to be someone who may be like that, like Felsenburgh of old. You know, like
Yeah.
someone who is so obsessed with becoming someone of history who does a major thing that he never like really stops to ask if that major thing is good. But
yeah, he never.
I mean, I
he's
guess
never
he'll
willing to-
ask if it's good after the fact.
Also, he's not considering the grander context of what good is. Like he's thinking about his
Is it good
men
right
in the
now?
immediate moment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He thinks about the impact immediately, but he doesn't think about like the long term. Like we've never heard Hadrian contemplate the larger impact of like any individual action that he's taken. Like, how will my action impact the diaspora of religions? Like if I claim myself or become like an accidental half mortal in some way to everyone's eyes, is that going to make people question the chantry religion? Is that going to like, he doesn't interrogate that.
I mean, he's
nearly
never
as
even,
narrowly as
like-
one might expect.
Question what happened to the Imad. That kind of bugs me, like to this day. Like he
Yeah.
did a thing, and then centuries have passed, and he has not mentioned to us if the Imad did end up being shipped off as slaves for other lords, which was being considered back then.
Or not. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know. I just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there were Xenobites, and he kind of abandoned them after they hentied him, which is fair.
A reasonable response, one might say.
But like, I'd like to know, and he just like kind of doesn't think about it. And like I feel like because he's writing the story, he shoves his failures away from like the light of what we're allowed to see.
Absolutely. For sure. Definitely does.
Yeah.
It leads to a very interesting place with Hadrian where it's like, man, I want the full nature of things, but also because he's so temporarily in locations, we can't see the way that it plays out more dramatically. Like we're not in Locke Lamora's head within a city that has existed in his entire life, so he doesn't see the feed outer responses. We're not in Vin's impact of the empire that she's interacted with for her whole life. We can't see the feed out responses, so it's very different here because like this is a galactic thing, and so the scale is different, so we can't catch every individual aspect. That kind of stinks, but also the empire is big.
The Empire is far, or the Emperor is far away.
The emperor is far away. Yeah. I love this quote that comes from Gibson as well. He asks, "Do you know the difference, Hadrian, between magic and prayer? Humility. The suppliant prays to superior powers, while the magician commands inferior ones. The only problem is that the demons were not inferior powers at all. Felsenburg may have birthed his demons, summoned them, if you will, but he could not control them. I said he sold humanity's soul. I wasn't being dramatic. Creating these machines was a Faustian bargain, one that we're still paying for. The idea of like technology being also a ritual of summoning is beyond brilliant to me. It's such a subtle, like,
yeah,
it's such a technical like way of incorporating magic into
it's
like science fiction series.
You know, like yeah, it's
God damn it! Like I've read so much like adjacent science fiction that incorporates magic, but like this is the most natural of them all.
The science
that,
fiction
like,
was
it,
the magic, and it became magic.
Yes,
like, yeah.
yes. It's brilliant
because there is no actual magic here. There's creatures that exist in a different plane than us,
but it feels like magic,
and there
for so
is
many reasons.
Tech that it understands things beyond us. There's magic, but there's not. Did Hadrian die and come back? Yes. Do I think that's magic? No. Do I think that's science? Yes.
Right.
Within this world. Oh, it's so well done.
This is the one quote that I'm like, kind of like reapproaching it. I was like, man, this is a brilliant thesis to some degree for the series, right? Like the sort of like division between, you know, magic and prayer, right? Like it's fascinating. It's fascinating.
I was gonna say, do you know the difference between magic and prayer? Really comes down to like what the ethos for me is.
Yeah,
I'm shocked by it being here. Humility. I mean, like that being the
what an
honestly,
answer.
Like,
yeah,
this is a great quote. But do you know the difference, Hadrian, between magic and prayer? Humility is just crazy.
The first thing that popped into my head this week as I was thinking back, we talked about the devils a little bit earlier. I was thinking back to Balthazar and some of the moments that happened therein and sort of this power structure as it relates. And I was like, does Balthazar fit within the power structure that Rocky is defining here? And he does.
Yeah. 100%.
And that's in-fucking credible.
And it's
to me because like
fully shown
that's exactly it.
In the moment where this is a slight spoiler for The Devils by Joe Abercrombie.
Yeah.
When Balthazar brings a certain character from a certain plane to free him of a certain binding, and the character says, "Can't do it." Like, I
can't do it. Yeah,
my favorite moment of that book. But
yeah. But yeah, to that same degree, like, oh man, I'm inferior, and so I would have to pray to potentially break that. Is so interesting. But like, this actually works functionally as a layer between faith and magic, which is something that I had not considered beforehand. Like, the suppliant prays his superior powers while the magician commands inferior ones. Like, I have mastery over inferior things that I can control. And that is, from a political standpoint, that is from so many other angles. This is a brilliant fucking line, and I don't know. I've never seen this quoted.
Is damn near atheistic, agnostic.
Yeah.
I love the idea that, like, commanding inferior versus praising superior. Because I'm not entirely a no on superior.
Yeah. I'm very agnostic. I get it.
But also, like, yeah, it's such a cool way to look at it. Like, because science is only accepting what you can understand. There's more to it. If you can't understand it, people definitely couldn't understand, like, bacteria at some point. Now we do.
Right.
Maybe we'll understand more later. But, like, this idea, I can't dive too far into it, but it's fucking cool, and I like it a lot. Sorry, it's just one thing that stands out to me a lot.
This also leans into the sort of like relationship between Galstani and English, were Galstani's words here, right? Yeah. There's a reason why in Galstani your word for scientist is the same as the word for magus, and to me, importantly, that power over magic, over science, over whatever the fuck, is the equivalent of a mage's power over something else.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, my girlfriend right now is a microbiologist, and she goes in and she looks at cells incredibly every day at the micro level, and she has power over influencing them, and that's what she does on a day-to-day basis. Who's to say that isn't magic in the way that she feeds and changes things to some degree? That is this thing on scale.
I'll also say within that, with like the praising of some, or like the prayer to something superior, or the like control over something inferior. I did actually think about this earlier in this episode, or maybe it was even the Devil's Cut. Whenever you talked to me about Doggerland, is that?
Ooh, yeah, that was in this episode. Yep.
Okay.
Doggerland. Yeah.
And I thought about the fact that like mythology is so much more fun when you don't know too much about the history,
Right.
and you can imagine, and you can believe, and you can think about it. The more you know about any one topic, the less magical it becomes. Right? Like,
True. Fair.
so within that, like,
But also the more power you have over the magic. So it becomes
because
less...
it becomes inferior.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, prayer is the belief that I will find Atlantis. Science is Doggerland.
Finding Doggerland. Yeah, it's science.
Fuck.
But simultaneously, that's a good thing. Like,
But it's
you
a good
know
thing.
that
Like,
that's
you found
what
it. You
is.
know
Yeah.
it. Yeah, exactly. So like, there's this kind of thing where it's like, without prayer, we don't find Doggerland because nobody would be
Right.
so invested to go get it. You know, you have to.
It's very fair.
You have to like worship superior until it comes in. And most of us, in the grand scheme of human life, and this story extends that, can only like inferiorize so many things. But whenever we put it all to a collective, then where does magic go? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I love that. I love that. This is such a... That's part of the reason that I was like, you have to read the section twice, because I do think that it interrogates so many interesting philosophical concepts better than a lot of the rest of the text does. So it's like, it's good. He's sitting in this a little bit more here. So to round out this chapter, Volker returns basically being ready to read English from not understanding it, but leads to a funny joke about not knowing what anything means before. Man, that's one of my favorite jokes of the section. Like, they both are like reading English, and they're like, yeah, no, I don't know what that means. And Hadrian answers back, and he's like, yeah, I don't either.
Sorry. I wasn't
That's
holding my
okay.
hand's wife. It's fine.
No, it's fine.
My hand's
Your hand's wife.
My
My
wife's
wife's hand.
My wife.
It's very cute. My wife. My hand's wife.
My hand's wife.
It was a separate hand.
Look,
that
this
you
one's
held.
married. This one's not. Okay. It works.
Well, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. The left hand is less skilled, so I know it tracks. Yeah, totally. So I really love this sort of like line that comes in here, which is really like about like English being confusing, which I think is great from Hadrian's perspective. Being like, man, like Volca doesn't get it, but fucking I don't get it either. Yeah. Yeah. Like, he's like, I barely get it.
Which, Adrian, my boy, we've disagreed on a lot of things throughout life. I've called you some names. I felt some types of way. Me and you, we agree on English. Don't make no goddamn sense. Crossland be coming out here with words, saying stuff. I'm like,
dude, if you think I'm coming out here with words saying stuff and you're reading this fucking book and you don't get the words, I don't know what to say. Like, I am infinitely less wordy than Rockio is. Like, I'm a little bit wordy, but like,
you know what's weird?
on,
I
man.
never think about not getting the words. I feel like I get them in the moment, and then you show up with the words and you talk about them. I'm like, nah, fuck this bitch. He's hanging on to one of the words.
That's that fucking guy. Yeah, he's not letting me let it go. I already let that go. I let that go on
Usually you hear a word
Tuesday.
and you're like, I get it by context, and you move on. And then you show up and you bring the word back up, and I'm like, nah, we gotta fight him.
Now I gotta fight him. I don't know what that was. I remembered what it was in context, but now I don't know. No. We're gonna make that man bleed.
Exactly. Yes.
Thumbs down for Gladiator. Yeah.
What does that have to do with the story?
No, I'm pulling bullshit fights up based on our Ridley Scott conversation from earlier.
Not on
That's
the God damn it, words. Colosso? Not on the Colosso?
No, well, I mean, technically,
Adrian's
but yeah,
Colosso?
it's all the same. It came from the Roman Colosseum, and as such, Gladiator
Obviously,
in the popular
Ridley
culture.
Scott was inspired by Christopher Rocchio's Colosso.
For sure. And also, similarly, Rocchio maybe is a big fan of Ridley Scott if you consider the way that he reacts to a lot of his fiction.
Never.
Including Gladiator, Kingdom of Heaven, and more. It's as though a lot of that's incorporated throughout the text.
All right.
That said, love this sort of general idea. We cut to black from there, and we hear a ton about the research. We defang the myth about him learning languages fast, when in fact it was actually Volka who did. Hadrian doesn't have a ton to say about some of these days in the archives, outside of that what we will see here on the pages as more years pass. As he mentions, we find out this very interesting fact about sort of the drop in camp that we'll talk about at the very end of the week, that lets the vacationers out to the locals, find love, spend coin, and more. But those kids still are left here to be with the blood of the devil in them. It's a badge of pride that they claim for all of history and all of time. And as such, Hadrian is not the monster like the real monsters of the story, as he claims, because they claim him pridefully. And that blood, even though it's not his blood, it's the blood of his men. Yeah. It's fun little note. It's this
moment. Yeah.
This to me is like borrows more from like the ancient tradition that it does like a modern tradition. Like obviously the soldiers are going to go out and do things, and that's going to be the nature of the way that soldiers react. Like you cannot control men in mass to the degree that you would hope and think that you can. And so this is bound to happen. And this is very, to me, Iliad coded. Like there are bound to be bastard children everywhere in so many ways. But these children in particular claim themselves as not Palatine blood, but blood of the devil.
And it's also like an interesting thing. Like there's connotations here that aren't great necessarily. I would like to believe every single one of these children was born out of a moment of love, and then they also sent pensions back to them.
I think it's probably mostly that, but
yeah,
we do know, for the record, we do know that like when an imperial soldier dies, they contact all the family members and they pay all the family.
That's
family
true.
Members. So there's something from the empire, but like it's not perfect. It's not great. I mean, like these women are still maybe raising these children and or vice versa, but.
All of that to say, I think it's fun and interesting that like the place that probably has the most blood of the devil is his final resting place.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if they know that. I don't know the context of him coming back here. I don't know if people are aware that he is here, but it's interesting to know that people are like, oh, I'm the blood of Hadrian Marlowe. Or not Hadrian Marlowe, but like I'm the blood of the devils.
The adjacent.
Courtier. I'm part of the Red Company. Like a descendant of a way down ancestor.
A copy of a?
Yeah, like I'm not a descendant of the Donner family, but I am a descendant of the Donner Party. You know?
Sure.
I've probably talked about that.
We've had this conversation. Yeah.
But it's fun that like where that myth really holds weight is here on this planet that he ends up later on.
Yeah. Like he's on this space at the same time.
That's all.
Very cool. All right. With that, we'll head into Island in Time. Hadrian says in the opening that this place was less archive and more an attic, unorganized or categorized at all. And he sees a lot of horrific images as a part of this, with the implication that the cities and continents were emptied to fill those ghastly pyramids that even Brethren had mentioned in Washington and otherwise, but with no clue as to why.
Each state became a pyramid that was just a data center full of people soup.
People soup pyramids?
That's what it feels like to me.
Or why?
Oh, for coolant.
Coolant. So sick. So cool. And
there's a little series you got to watch called The Matrix. It'll explain the rest. Honestly, I think it goes The Matrix, Red Rising, and then...
You know, I definitely get it. So this is such a weird thing, and I'm very curious if this crossed Rockio's desk at all when he was growing up, but I read this other series called Pendragon growing up.
You've told me about this, yes.
I have maybe mentioned it once upon a time, in which the fourth book of the series, The Lost City of Far, you visit one of these planets in which it's been taken over with a VR landscape that people like zone into. And it turns out that these people are turned into like energy switches, basically, which is very similar. It's very Matrix adjacent, but it is also in pyramids in VR and otherwise. And the way that that goes in a later book in that series kind of makes it feel as though they're turned into energy masses. And so the human population is very low and dwindling. So much so that the jungle retakes the planet, which is maybe a good thing, maybe a bad. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, interesting. But this is an open question.
I mean, it definitely feels like people are being scooped up to create like the brethren of it all, not just specifically brethren, but like people soup Mericanii formation.
Yeah.
There's 52 colonies. We've talked about that a little bit.
Yep.
Do you think it is Puerto Rico and DC, or do you think it is Venezuela and Greenland? That's the real question.
Well, like Yellowstone gets mentioned randomly.
Yeah,
right?
like how is that its own state? You know,
and also like there are capitals mentioned, like Baltimore. So I think it's like in text. I think it's Denver.
It's more about
Baltimore,
where the data centers
Atlanta,
were.
Yellowstone, Utah. Yeah, and I think you're right. Maybe it's like more of a regional thing. Because in my mind, like Utah, if we're talking about like the similar representation, would be Zion. If we're thinking about like something that's similar, to the rest of these, but instead it's not.
I think it is the name of the data centers.
Olympia, Washington exists, so that tracks. But like, man, what a weird moment.
Yeah,
you know. I think you're maybe correct, but we find out as well in that moment that like, a lot of these sites were places and planets that existed that Mericanii had spread out to, and that we collected different artifacts from because we had to, including saving some museum Catholic city monument brick by brick, which I have to assume is the Vatican. I have to assume.
I have to as well, but also, okay, so there's one bar in San Diego. It's called The Field.
Yep.
And it's not created brick by brick, but the bar itself, and the whole like bar top, bar, and back of bar was brought over like brick by brick from Ireland. And it's an Irish pub. And just the bar itself you sit at and the entire backdrop of it is all an actual Irish pub that was brought here. And it makes me think of that, and I was like, damn, that's so cool. Just like bring shit places. And then I had to like think about the future.
You can just move it. Yeah.
I'm like, why couldn't they just move it? Like, I bet they moved the Vatican is like my whole thought. So I read that
absolutely.
And I was like, why wouldn't they move it? And like, honestly, it's probably like a weird amalgamation of like the Vatican and like numerous other
adjacent sites. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they probably just grabbed half of Venice and put it with the Vatican, you know?
Yeah, or like a little bit of Rome and like grabbed the Colosseum, right? Which is right there.
It's probably they were probably like, hey, we'll just take up a little bit of the planet, and it was like all of our big Italian.
It was all Italy. Yeah,
yeah. They just moved to Italy.
They picked up the boot. Yeah,
they just grabbed the boot, stuck it over there, and blew it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I really love this quote that we get here, but of Marcus Aurelius and Alexander there was no sign, and I wondered if the shortness of life common to all men in those days had not narrowed their appreciation of the time, so that the Caesars seemed as remote to Washington and Felsenburg as they seemed to me. This is just like another great quote about the scale of history and time and sort of the removal from such, but it's interesting, especially in the way that it reflects the hyperfixation, perhaps, of the empire on, and the scholiasts, and maybe Gibson, even as it reflects on Hadrian, of the Roman time period on history and its impact.
Yeah, I mean, there's even a note later about like, or around this section, actually,
probably
about the scholiasts like slowing progression specifically to keep the Mericanii from being there. But it also seems like within that slowing of technical progression, there's been a slowing of cultural progression, because as their lives expand, as time becomes more amalgamous, it seems like they've spent hundreds of years, and they even really do bring it up here. Like maybe that's why humans pressed so hard. And it's kind of a thought that like comes from Doctor Who for me as well. Of like, yeah, humans live such little lives. They like push so hard to create something within the time that they have.
Is that from the Van Gogh episode? Am I crazy?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because I feel like it brings up a bigger question that it chooses to answer or even really ask. And that just like, yes, the time from Caesar to Washington is bigger, honestly.
Right.
In the sense of recorded history, in the sense of accessibility to that recorded history, and the sense of understanding and the sense of communication, it's all so much smaller than thousands of years that happened after it. And you've made such insane strides, but slower and slower every generation.
Step. Yeah, along that timeline.
Each step has gotten bigger and slower. You know?
Yeah. You can only stride so far, and that stride, as you age, has to shrink. And humanity's stride shrinks over time, naturally. Cannot be a logarithmic growth curve forever. Hadrian also reflects on his time there as he considers his luck on this island of time, this refuge that so few people get, which he reflects as well. We are lucky no man gets what he deserves. As Hadrian reflects that he has everything, well, nearly everything. He misses Switch in and among all of this and regrets sending him away. Most of all of his regrets. Switch is number one.
You were just shown that you don't actually know that everyone you think is dead. You could just ask. The Emperor is your butt buddy. You could just ask.
Yeah. He's right there.
Switch back. You'd be like, hey, there was this guy Switch. I sent him out a few hundred years ago. We track down Palatine families and such all the time. Can we just figure out if this guy died?
His name is William. Sorry. Yeah, he's named after you. Sorry. Yeah.
Could we just look into it? Could we just?
Yeah.
Is he dead? Okay, cool. I'll mourn. He's alive? Oh, let's fix it. Doesn't do either of those.
Yeah. Neither.
He's just like, damn, I was really a dick. Too bad I'm not gonna do nothing about it.
Yeah. I mean, I do want to say that I think that it's important that he acknowledges that he was an asshole, right? Like, I think that that's the thing here that I want to give credit for from an individual standpoint. Because, man, I have, in my own life, made dramatic missteps and mistakes in such degrees. And I'm sure
as well.
Everyone has in the course of their own lives. We understand these things. But you, like, don't admit that for a while. Until after you made the mistake, and you're like, man, I don't necessarily regret that, but I understand the consequences of my decision.
I think I have a book series for Hadrian Marlowe to read.
Is it the Chronicles of Narnia?
No, it's called Assassins Anonymous.
And fuck yeah.
Making amends. And maybe actually going out and reaching out to them and talking to them.
I did finally this weekend because like our interview.
It's crazy. I was so far ahead of you. I have not finished it.
I finished it this weekend, and I am so pleased to finish it so that we can talk about it at the very least.
I will say that where I left off was farther than you. I was 2/3 in. I was very into it. So
I appreciate like Hadrian missing Switch, and that's it. I don't mean to belabor the point more than that. It's just more like his abandonment of Switch felt so harsh in the moment, and then he was internalizing it and he disagreed with it in the moment as he's thinking about it emotionally. Now in post, he's like, man, I feel no greater shame than Switch and missing that man and like fucking up so badly.
That.
Yeah.
I appreciated that he knows he fucked up, but I don't appreciate the fact that he doesn't make any actual attempt to find out if he can make any sort of amends towards Switch or his ancestors. Or not ancestors, but descendants.
Yeah, it could be old Hadrian reflecting on young Hadrian being like, man, this still sucks. I'm still the sucky boy.
By the way, old Hadrian, I assume you still probably have contacts or at least
and
money.
also you're listening to this podcast, so
you should probably just, I don't know, do some sort of something for Switch's descendants if he has any.
Yeah, probably.
It's fine.
I mean, I don't know. Like, if you think about Switch's descendants in the long run, like, maybe they're, like, fighting on some, like, foreign planet and maybe, like, killing each other, I don't know, for, like, food or something. Because they're super poor. I'm not sure.
So then make them not poor anymore.
Make them not poor anymore and make them not kill each other, right? Like, make them not, like, gouge each other's eyes out and eat each other's, like, throats. Pointed.
Is this something that happens?
No. Why would I say something that happens on the show? I have Josh in the best deadlock I've ever had on this whole show. That's incredible.
Just imagining a world of Switches. Just, hey, I got him. No, hey, I got him.
Yeah. Switch's home planet of Danu, which is his own planet, being like entirely just his descendants.
It's just all Switches.
Yeah. It's all Switch bloodlines, and they're like, all hail Hadrian.
All Switches all the way down.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, moving on.
Just jokes. That said, having now spent 5 years among the halls, the fact that there hasn't been a serious development outside of the general deeper understanding of the Mericanii leaves them happy, but without progress. It begs the question from Hadrian as to how Brethren knew what it knew in the moment, and he reflects on some of the lines, but in particular here, seek them at the highest place at the bottom of the world stands out. And neither Volca nor Gibson have like a solid response.
I have an assumption.
Sure.
He's got to go to Old Earth.
Ooh.
Tallest mountain, Southern Pole.
Okay.
That's my assumption.
That's it? Okay.
I have nothing to go off of. I was just like, highest peak, lowest part. He's from Old Earth. He's from Old Earth. You know, here we go.
Sure. Yeah. Fair. Yeah. Interesting. Gibson is also kind of surprised that Hadrian isn't keeping up with Volca in her studies, and Gibson says to Hadrian directly that he is not the ship of Theseus. Hadrian reflects that he didn't change, that Theseus didn't change, even when the ship did, but that also leads to a reflection that Hadrian really is his father's son in many ways. From Gibson, and Alistair had strived to be the opposite of his own father, Timon, I think, which is how they have led themselves on diametric paths from each other. But the biggest difference, Hadrian is not alone. And I love this quote that kind of rounds out this whole perspective and section. We live in other people. They keep us human. From, I believe, Gibson.
I really love that quote. And it does kind of come down to this idea that, like, who Hadrian is lives on in Gibson or in Volca, but
in everyone that he interacts with, right? Like he's built a company of people and heroes that believe in him, and as such, live through him. It
did get me kind of out of my head into my own life within that story. It's like, I live on to the people I know, you know? Be the best person you can be, because that's who they'll remember you as.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't have a lot more to say about that other than just like, I think that if you're going to take any one sentence away this whole fucking series, that might be the one.
I mean, it's a good one for sure. I think the only other thing that I'd implore your insight on is the comparison to Alistair and sort of the way that they stand together and opposed simultaneously.
I agree with Gibson's overall view of Hadrian being like Alistair. Whenever he says he's like Alistair, in the sense that Alistair didn't want to be his father and then he doesn't want to be like his father, that feels cheap to me. nobody wants to be their dad. Everybody ends up their dad. That's just how it is.
Well,
Like-
you either end up your dad or the antithesis of your dad in a lot of cases. But
And probably because you didn't want to end up your dad.
yeah, I think,
Yeah.
More
I don't know.
generally,
It's
maybe it's better to say in your parents, but like there's a little bit of a dividing line there. Yeah.
I didn't buy into that comparison as much because I do
Really?
think Hadrian is like Alistair, but I don't think it's because he doesn't want to be Alistair. I don't think what makes him like Alistair.
No, but it also makes sense from Gibson's perspective to read him that way, right? And also, we've said before that we find Hadrian and Alistair comparable because they both have
Yes.
similar, at this
I
point,
do
have
agree
similar
that
like
he's
spats
like
of
Alistair.
rage. Yeah. It's just
I just
that
think
Gibson is wrong.
His like want to be not like Alistair isn't what makes him like Alistair. It's the fact that he's like Alistair.
Yeah.
Like he just is. He's just like Alistair. Like
Yeah, I
he
just
was
think,
like, oh, Alistair was nothing like his dad. That's why he's like that. And you're nothing like your dad because that's why you're like that. And I'm like, no, he is like his dad. Like he's the same fucking guy.
right.
But
I really think that it's meant to like defang Gibson's perspective as omniscient to some degree. Like it's meant to like kind
yes.
of give us back. But also maybe there's the other perspective of Hadrian again,
using
writing
this as an
this.
excuse for himself. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. So
Yeah.
that's exactly where I was going. But
Rough to me because I want to believe Gibson and I want to have a good time, but also Hadrian, Alistair, not that different.
they really aren't. They are pretty similar, but there are elements of them that are different. That said, we'll get into our final chapter this week as it's time to take a year on the island away from all of this nonsense. We come to Island in the Sun. The opening line of this chapter, the final chapter of our week here, is though. Do you want to read it? It's a good. It's a good line.
Godin was my destiny. This is where my story ends.
And that's the line that Hadrian opens with, and it's quite ominous. I mean, come on.
You're like, well, I know he doesn't die, but then we're later given the idea that a cairn is built here. So whatever Hadrian's story is ends with someone else's death, in my opinion. And there's a heavy implication of whose.
Well, it ends with a death for sure, but just to put it out there, he says this story ends with a death, and in addition, he blows up a whole sun, and that's a lot of deaths. So
Well, yeah, there's
so like let's
ton of
not say like it's just one death. It's like there's a lot.
Yeah,
there.
but I don't think he built a cairn like for everybody.
Yeah, but like when you build a cairn for everybody,
Hadrian wouldn't. I would.
well, okay, yeah, that's fair. It's fair. Yeah, it's very ominous. Obviously, in the immediate moment, it's like, oh my god, this whole chapter, which is very saccharine for a lot of different reasons, is also like mired a little bit in this sort of sour, bitter taste that is the eventuality of the end, which is, I don't know, in this book series, the best way that I can imagine a beach episode, and also the only way I ever want to see a beach episode ever going forward. I love in the context that it makes sense,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I can't remember. There's not a beach episode in Attack on
You're
Titan.
saying, well, I mean, there kind of is. There's the episode where they find the ocean. But
That is kind of a beach episode, okay, but that
It's a
actually kind of
very-
mirrors this.
very bad episode, but then they find the ocean. You know?
Yeah. Okay, that is kind of the idea. I guess it like
I would
captures
say
the
this
same
is
sort
the
of.
closest. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like what I'm saying here is that like beach episodes are never believable. They're a fun moment to expose characters in a unique way that feels rewarding for fans. It's,
Sounds like someone's never watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, the one with the best beach episode in the world.
absolutely have.
My favorite beach episode.
Yeah, I watched it at 22, Josh, a decade ago. No, sorry, it was 27. So it was like 7 years ago that I watched Avatar: The Last Airbender for the
For
first
the
time.
first time?
Yeah, for the first time. I watched some episodes growing up, but I never watched the whole thing. One of my friends, Tim, our production host, encouraged me to watch it. We watched most of the episodes together when I had quit my job before I moved to New York City. So we watched the first two seasons together over the course of like 3 days. It was great. So I love the series and I get it, but my core point here is that like there are great beach episodes and good ones that work, but I think the best beach episode is one that has this lingering doom behind it. I think that like the clock impending is important to a good beach episode because everyone deserves their rest. But in the end, rest is never rewarded.
I'll say it hasn't been adapted yet, and it might not ever be based on where we are. But Critical Role Campaign 1 had a very good beach episode with impending doom. Yeah. And you're still working your way through.
Correct.
So we'll see when you get there.
Yeah. We'll see what that turns out to be. That said, all the people are then let free on the island. The prince and all clothes, much of the stuff from the chambers on the Tamerlane are brought down to this temporary vacation structure that stands to this day. They drink, party, wear swimsuits, as Octavia Corvos is mentioned to be particularly almost scandalous, and generally have a good time, including the Urktani, of whom are brought down. But Hadrian can't dress himself down as much, which is like a fun anime trope of like the one guy in a suit, and it's like, no, bro, like wear a fucking swimsuit. We're gonna like make fun of you to do it, and that's kind of what happens.
Well, he's always been a square, but he's a square.
He is a square. He is a square.
Yeah. It is fun to see. I don't know. Everybody's having fun.
Yeah.
I just want to double check. We are not to where he fights yet.
Yeah, but you can mention it. Who gives a shit? Welcome.
It's he's so buttoned up, but even Hadrian lets loose a little bit. Yeah. So
he has to, right? And so there's like this little fun moment in which there's a duel in particular between Krim and Udax, which feels like Udax kind of like stabs him a little bit, and he's like, motherfucker, I'll bring a knife next time. Like, it's just kind of like, he's like,
I love
this
that
is supposed to be
like,
fun. Yeah.
We said no claws, and he's like, you're so weak. And he's like, fine, I'll pull a knife.
Yeah, he's like, I got you. I can do this.
In my mind, I'm like, hey, he's using knives. You use knives, baby. Let's do knives.
Yeah, right. Like, let's have fun. And it's kind of crazy because this is Krim. This is the assassin. This is the nuts guy. And especially
they do not want Krim using knives.
Nobody wants that. Outside of when it's necessary to blow up ships.
Krim,
and stuff
for
like
sure.
that.
Krim wants that.
For sure.
And definitely Hadrian wants that.
It's a fun chapter for that reason. There's a lot of like fun things. Yeah, I don't know. There's also
right
brief.
Now,
yeah.
Is there a short story, or will we ever know how Krim, Ilex, and Elorian got Hadrian out?
There's not a short story.
That's all I want to know. It's my favorite
I diabolically want one, man. I diabolically want one.
Oh my god.
I like in my own
I
head.
get that it's so much cooler that we don't know, but oh my god. Fucking shit. Krim is like, I just have to assume Krim did the most fucking kills.
Yeah. Well, and like Ilex did crazy shit, and then Lorien was like there hobbling and like made a final venture into it.
I think all of them did a bunch
somewhere.
of shit.
Yeah.
But I think Krim did a lot of murder, and I want to know about it.
Yeah, to me, it feels like he climbed through a vent into a room that had a bunch of people at control panels, and he killed all of them one at a time. Like he is slowly, because he couldn't like make it there quickly.
Nobody pressed a button.
Yeah, right. They were all terrified of the idea. Yeah. I want to see that so badly. It does not exist at present, but like that is the short story that I desired the most that I've not gotten thus far.
I agree.
Yeah. How dare you yawn at your...
I never did nothing.
12:30 time frame when it's 3:26 in the fucking morning. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, but do you have to get up at 6:30?
About that, yeah. It's like
fuck.
7.
Oh, no.
It's like I'll say like 7:30, but I can manage that. We're all good. We're all good. I'm having a great time
too. I'm having a good time.
Yeah, I'm welcome one day myself, but that said, Hadrian does give them a toast to say that they've earned this time, this relaxing moment. Velka offers to change them, and old Hadrian suggests that while this is indulgent for his friends, that they deserve the mercy, as they should be allowed happiness in their lives of violence that have been surrounded, shrouded, and otherwise existing in violence. He absolves them of in that moment of all of their crimes in many ways, as opposed to resentment that he understands if we bear towards them, considering aiding the Sun Eater and everything else, like considering the grand crime that he is to commit.
That was like such an interesting scene. He's like, don't judge them for being with me. But then he kind of gives you permission to judge him. But then he says he's already gotten his reward from like the smiles they had here, basically.
Yeah. He's like, my reward is the happiness that they experienced to some degree.
So he does have, of course, I mean, inherently the way the books are written, you have to know. But he certainly has regrets, or if not regrets, then guilt to some degree.
I would say deep regrets and guilt. Like, he is deeply regretting guilting a lot of his actions, right?
But he's never really saying they're wrong. He's Oppenheimering heavy.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I made big bomb. Oh no, they used it. Yeah.
Blew up sun because someone said so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chapters like this are like deeply interesting, but all I can say reading them is I can't wait to see how to feel about them later.
And that's fair. That's fair. That said, after the fight, Hadrian follows her, being Volca, out to a spot where the story ends. We mentioned this earlier. A cairn built of black stone from Thessa's the rock that he built brick by brick. Where at the end of the story there is silence and gulls, now there is laughter to fill the air. Volca thanks him for bringing her here, and all of this being worth the wait, considering their relationship and otherwise. Octavia Corvo pulls up too and pops some jokes at Hadrian's expense in a lovely fashion, to have the three of them laughing on this cliffside together, which is just an awesome moment. Like, this was a great romantic moment at first, but then to have like the third wheel pop in and be like a perfect joke of the moment is
incredible.
Brilliant writing. Like, it's a small touch, but like, it's good.
It's perfect. It's well done. It breaks it.
I expected to see you guys rolling over the cliff, and I thought I was going to have to save you guys. and then he
blushes.
Cute. Yeah.
Also, like, whenever he shows up, nobody's like so uncomfortable that they're like, "Oh, you guys!" Like, it shows that like over the centuries they've worked together, like they're all comfortable with each other's dynamics and have this like jokey vibe.
Yeah.
But then Corvo wants Hadrian to go look at something or something. Is that like how this ends?
Yeah, there's maybe something else going on that we're not sure about in this immediate moment. She's just pulling up for.
Yeah. See, and therein lies my problem. Why?
As a weird ending point.
We've been talking about chimeras.
Yeah.
We've been talking about shapeshifters. And I'm not suspicious.
Perpetually. You're always suspicious. For
why? Do you want me to go look at some shit? Why you here making me go look at some shit? Octavia Corvo would have let me bang my wife. Why are you here?
Yeah, who knows? Good question. I do want to mention that the way that this chapter ends, despite your paranoia in the moment as to Octavia Corvo's presentation, is one that is very somber. Old Hadrian pulls up to remind us that at the end of all this, he's alone and that they are all gone. No one, not a one of them, is there with him when he's writing this at the moment.
Yeah, we're probably in this chapter fine, but also, oh, my toes. You're never gonna catch me. I see you, Rockio. You're trying to convince me to be chill.
I've been there. Honey Badger don't give a shit.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
Kill my boy. I don't give a shit. I do. Please don't. I'll cry.
Yeah.
And if you kill Valka, I'll come for you, motherfucker.
As one might expect. Just this moment in which he talks about all of the people being happy. Lorien, White, Koskinen,
hey, Lorien
Polino,
got laid,
Alara,
by the way.
Siren. Yeah, Lorien got laid. Siren is obviously getting laid with the fishermen.
I mean, that's easy.
Yeah, I mean, Alara and Polino are obviously together and like having a great time. Like everyone like is accounted for in these scenes. They're happy. And then the way that we end this chapter is just in the most bittersweet way, which is that none of them are there with me as I sit there and listen to the gulls and the waves wash against the land. Like,
God damn.
Yeah. But this black cairn at the end of the story.
I hope it is a monument to all the people he's lost.
Well,
and not where he killed Valka.
Well, we'll certainly see, buddy. We'll certainly see.
Yeah.
That said, next week, we're reading a little bit of a shorter section. The library again through the lone and level sands. That is chapters 60 through 65.
The library again through the sands again. Gotcha.
Yeah, right. But more words before the sands again. Yeah, and actually different words.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. The library again through the lone and level sands. Have you ever seen like a level where it's got like the little dot in it? Like, it'd be like that in sands. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't hang nothing in my house.
Yeah, nothing straight at all. Actually,
I don't know about levels.
I don't know shit about levels. I don't know shit about a level. That said, thank you for listening to this week's podcast. You can find us on social media, Words and Whiskey Pod on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. If you want to reach out to us directly, feel free to shoot us an email at wordsandwhiskeyshow@gmail.com.
Also, if you like what you heard, maybe just support us on patreon.com.
Patreon.com.
Words and Whiskey.
Also, to reiterate Josh's point that he's making here, if you're listening to us on any other platform, I don't care if you ever listen to us ever again on the platform that I'm talking about, but YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. We have the listening hours to be monetized there, but we do not have the subscriber numbers. We're climbing, but if you're listening to this right now, subscribe over there. It's a big deal.
If you don't, that's fine.
We'll just see you at the end.
Just like going to be really sad.
Of the beach episode. It's going to be a depressing moment where like we've already had a good time.
I will build a cairn for each and every one of you that did not subscribe to our YouTube.
The Blackstones from the high hills.
I'm not going to say it means you're dead, but, you know, maybe.
Never communicate that ever.